And welcome back, everybody, to day 2 of the Titan Series America's Scrims. Yesterday was incredible. We had 5 wonderful maps played out with 3 different regions. I'm talking North America, Latin America, as well as Brazil. They tore it up. They really did. We even had some surprise additions with Execute and Storm entering into the mix. They were last-minute additions, but they made a big impact. Execute placing second in the standings. They returned today to maybe dethrone the Brazilian team of Loops, who ended up being in first place. They were incredible. Despite them losing team members, they still remained on top and made a big impact. Hey, I'm Taylor Reflections Noble. I'm going to be your host for today, and today is going to be great. Let's bring in our casters. We got Powerbang once again, and a new face, Enigma, joining in the mix. Enigma, how's everything going?
Doing good today. Just looking forward to some NA on SA action for PUBG Mobile.
That's right, man. And you, a previous pro, now you're kind of, introducing yourself onto the casting desk. You're a great addition, and I can't wait to hear the knowledge you're going to be bringing today. And Powerbank, I can't wait to see who you curse today, man.
I'm excited, man. I'm feeling all powerful. I'm so stoked to see if we can curse another 3, 4, maybe even 5 teams today. We got Thanos ready to snap, baby, and
Love
snap
it.
We shall. Anyways, welcome Enigma to the desk. So excited to pick your brain as the games go on. But holy crap, Reflections. What a day yesterday.
Yeah.
Loops on top, but also 2 huge teams coming in from Brazil today. We got INCO Gaming as well as Alpha 7. So excited to see what they bring to the table at today's Scrims.
Yeah, Alpha 7, much hyped up, especially when I was doing my research and people were kind of feeding me a couple of, tidbits of information. Alpha 7 seems to be one of the top dogs when it comes to Brazil. Now that they're here, they'll be starting fresh with 0 points. The points from yesterday do carry over, but can they rise to the occasion? I think so. YKG, 4 games, PB. They weren't playing well. Go to Game 5, Erangel. All of a sudden, they win it, they play well, they tear it up, and then they jump up to 5th place. So anything is possible today. A couple of good games, you could be right on top.
Absolutely. If you look at Loops yesterday, they didn't win a single game, but as you see in the rank points, 27 of them in favor of Loops, and that's without winning any chicken dinners. So they're averaging like 2nd place each and every game. That type of consistent performance. Alpha 7 also capable of exactly that. They keep having opportunities to show out and perform, and they continue to do just that. Winning 1st place in PMPL South America, taking 1st in Brazil, which is no easy task. So really impressive job coming into this for Alpha 7. We'll keep an eye on them as the games progress.
Yeah, Enigma, big storyline was Execute. They join into the mix. 6list, right? A veteran in PUBG, I believe not competing as of recently, but comes back, plays in these scrims. It's a whole new roster. They win Erangel, they win Sanhok, they win 2 out of our 5 matches. But on top of that, it doesn't necessarily show here in the results, Enigma, but they ended up placing top 5 pretty consistently throughout all their matches, I think, except Vikendi, if I'm not mistaken. That was their worst placing. But hey, Execute, a fill-in team, Enigma, they're tearing it up.
Hey, I mean, they have 6list, an NA staple, a pillar in the community scene and the comp scene. He's known for playing off angles. He's known for that sort of high intelligence, IQ, movement around the map. Now, the issue right now with him, though, unfortunately, he was never one that was a gun skill, oriented player. And with this new point system added on to PMPL, we're going more into, okay, we're going to be looking for kills. We're needing to make the aggressive plays. How is that going to be able to be consistent compared to these teams like South America or these regions like South America and LATAM, where, they're all about gun skill and all about playing that aggressive play style?
Yeah, aggression, PB, that was brought up by Coffee yesterday. He was, kind of highlighting how Latin America tends to be very, very aggressive. We saw tidbits of that, but we also saw, kind of patience from Loops. Again, losing maybe a couple off the rip, they would then become more patient and play for in-game. So they got the best of both worlds, but definitely Latin America seems to be pretty aggressive outside of Execute, who can be very aggressive when they want to be.
Absolutely. 22 kills overall for Execute. That puts him 3rd overall amongst all teams. Huge point by Enigma, though. The aggressiveness and the actual gunplay of these teams, so crucial as we move into this new point system in 2023. Only 10 points now for a chicken dinner and just 6 for the 2nd place team. So really, it's about how many individuals you can take down along the way that's really going to vault your team up into the top of those standings. While Loops did have consistent play, they also had a lot of eliminations, tops in the lobby, and that's what has them in the #1 overall spot right now.
Well, let's look at our teams for day 2. As you mentioned, we do have Alpha 7. They're going to be playing today. Excited to see them. Loops joining back in the mix, execute a lot of familiar faces. So it's going to be a great day. And INCO Gaming also, they didn't play yesterday. They're going to be playing today. So if you notice, Storm Gaming is not on this list. They were a fill-in yesterday. We loved having them. They performed well. But Alpha 7, they're back into the mix. So what does that mean for the competition, Enigma, right? Alpha 7, a top dog in Brazil.
Well, I'm expecting them to almost be a force such as Loops in the lobby, someone that is able to, even if they lose a player, 2 players early, you better watch how you push them, because they are people that can hit those, 2-piece, 3-piece clips with the M4, even close range with the DBS. We're going into this extreme close range meta right now, using shotguns, using M4 spraying. But my eyes right now are actually on N-Hyper, seeing, they were previously Nova Esports, obviously the most notorious team in China and in this game overall in the competitive scene, having the most clout, you could say. But they're known for, at least in the North American region, N-Hyper having those extreme splits on Sanhok, on Miramar, even Erangel sometimes. So it's more just a matter of, are they able to piece that together, such as their Chinese counterparts?
Yeah, PB and Hyper, that was a team that you went with yesterday and it ended up paying off.
Hey, they had a couple weak games early on in Hyper coming out with a bit of a goose egg. Games 1 and 2 not able to put up any rank points and also no elimination points, but they came back strong on Sanhok, picking up some good momentum. Finished the game kind of, mediocre, but 8th place overall coming into today. And Hyper, though, as we mentioned, really, really high potential. These guys have really good fraggers, good gun skill. I'm looking for them to really turn it up because from a talent perspective, they have it. It's just how passive are they going to play? How long are they going to stay split? And how quickly will they come together to actually exert some of that gun skill and that team chemistry onto their opponents versus getting picked off like they did a bit yesterday? We saw early on in the Titan series last season, they were able to actually put out as a team 4,200 damage in one game with all players basically having over 1,000 damage apiece. It was absolutely incredible. So they definitely have that type of potential to pop off.
And I want to see if YKG pops off today. We saw what they were made of in game number 5, but 1 through 4 games, they were just non-existent. And we were kind of, laying into them, just where are they at? Because they're the #1 representation for North America. We expect them to be at the top of the food chain, yet they were non-existent. But then all of a sudden, now they're top 5, and they're looking to make an impact today. And they're going into the map they won yesterday, so technically, still champions returning. They're going into Erangel, map #1. So let's do our predictions real quick. Enigma, who you going with?
I'm going to have to go with Loops. They showed a strong force yesterday, highest kills in the lobby. Unfortunately, they didn't have the most wins, but, they're #1 in my books.
All right, Powerbang.
Solid pick there from Enigma. I'm going to go with Alpha 7 coming in. They got something to prove. They said, listen, you boys haven't had the top team in the lobby all day yesterday. It's time for us to come show who that is. I'm looking for A7 to be on top after game 1.
I gotta agree with you, but sadly I can't just piggyback off of that. I'm gonna go YKG now because I think YKG, they're gonna come in with that energy that they had from yesterday, game 5. Now going back into the same map, Erangel, they're going to be on top. Now, will they remain consistent? I really don't know, but I think we laid into them enough yesterday, PB, to the point now they're like, okay, so let's stop playing around. Let's really show them that why we're the #1 team in NA and why we can bring that fuego. They're going to do exactly that. I can't wait to get today started. Get loud in chat. Let us know who you think is going to win map #1, and let's see if the collective mind's better than the individuals on the desk. I'm going to hop out. PB Enigma, take it over for drop.
Thank you so much, Reflection. So excited to see if Alpha 7 goes out first. Have I cursed them? Time will tell, but secretly I am rooting for YKG to come out and crush it, so I'm happy you picked them. Got to go to Enigma, though. What are the keys to the map, man? I mean, obviously, we're going to see the plane path here in a moment, but what should teams be looking to do here as we drop in?
Well, the main thing, obviously, is plane paths. Like you said, if you're going to have to drive to your drop spot, maybe you play around that edge spot, a circle more on that first zone shift. We're going to be seeing a lot of teams, I think, depending on the second or third zone, look to possibly even just find each other on the edge of the ring. A lot of action going on because there are a lot of parts of this map in Erangel where, the later zones do force you almost just basically into an open field. And would you rather have tried to fight for the compound in the first zone or just die in the open in the 5th zone when it's more of a kill-based format now?
That was great points. We do have kind of a northern flight path here. Pretty neutral, though. Not an incredibly difficult one unless we get that military circle, which I'm always rooting for. Take a peek at Execute again, back for day 2. One of the teams filling in, proving that they belong here, finishing number 2 in the lobby after 1 day, picking up 2 chicken dinners. I gotta say, Enigma, this surprised me. I did not expect to see Execute come out after seemingly a couple of months of disappointing performances and really dominate the region's best teams the way they did yesterday.
Yeah, I think the main thing was maybe just, Execute was having a real big read, on how teams were wanting to play this sort of lobby out. The first day in any sort of tournament or international scrim is always going to be about, how do these teams like playing? You haven't gone against them for 3 or 4 months, possibly, depending on how long it's been in between tournaments. And you're really just looking for, people that are able to adapt quickly in these sorts of events, such as loops where, they're getting used to NA styles, NA's play style, along with, this, maybe it's a niche, new, rotation or just like spot that teams are holding.
This zone's toxic to start off. A third of it's in the water. Got its military island still in, but it's going to be in the southwest for sure here. Even Pachinki barely in the circle right now. Really interesting starting zone to take a peek at. So Jaguar in at the Georgia Pole crate's going to start looting up. And I'm curious to see how many teams rotate early to try to get position in this circle, because this is a circle that is difficult to get into. There's a lot of open terrain, especially on those hills just a bit west of Pachinki. It's difficult to get through there, so I'm curious to see who's going to rotate early and try to grab that position.
Well, I'm not sure about rotating right now. We're already seeing shots going off at the George Pool crates, but also in the kill feed, a few teams already battling it out just straight off drop, possibly right under the plane path, or maybe somewhere that was more of a stretch where people were just fighting straight over cars like we're seeing with Jaguar.
Loops is in the mix. We'll see right now if we cursed them or if Loops is going to actually persevere here. They're down to 1 member. Ayala is gone. No, they're gone. Cartizan gets eliminated. Chief gone. Ayala gone. Tough breaks here for Loops. Enigma, I think you've taken the caster curse of the day, my friend. I'm going to pass the baton to you. It's all you moving forward.
I take it with a lot of, just hype and that sort of stuff. But I mean, it's always just tough to see. But right now we're seeing, AT7 battling out. Also, not even really a battle. They're just driving straight up onto him and just slaughtering AT7 on this open hillside.
Tough breaks here. We saw FLAMENGO yesterday really get into a lot of fights. Early, mid-game, late game. They didn't care, man. They were in the mix. I actually thought it was exciting to watch, but also wanting to see if they're able to play a bit more strategic here. Again, one of the really talented teams from Brazil. They finished in 4th place overall in the region in PNPL. Excited to see what they do here today. One interesting little tidbit, though. Loop sitting on the top of the leaderboards right now coming into day 2. And with their early exit here in this first game, this really opens things up for the rest of the teams to kind of vault up the leaderboard and potentially overtake them.
Yeah, we had seen Execute, of course, just about 10 points shy behind them. But right now, we're seeing DPS actually just full-on fighting in a 4v4 against Jaguar, the team that was rotating out of George Pole, and Victex just absolutely slaughtering with the DPS, like I noticed earlier. Jaguar, losing 2 now, I believe. It's just up to Mercy and his teammate with just, oh my goodness, a pump shotgun. That is not the gun I want to use in this situation.
It's not. It's usually the only one I have to fight with this early on. It seems like, man, this is quite crazy. I wouldn't expect to be fighting over these greens this early on the map. These teams are really trying to warm up the weapons here, it seems like, in game number 1. The action is hot and heavy early on. Yeah,
I'm thinking right now, we're just seeing 2 teams looking to rotate towards the center zone like we noted earlier. And it's just, you cross paths and you're like, hey, that might just be a 3-4 points for us. Why not just go and take the fight?
Who knows? Maybe they're rotating with pistols in hand. They haven't even really looted yet. And as you can see from the weapons, that might actually be the case. And just like that, Team Jaguar also out of the mix, which is interesting because that is the number 1 and number 3 teams in the lobby already out of here to start off day 2. So things are going to get tight and going to get interesting.
Yeah, it might not have been a caster curse after all, but just a lobby curse per se. The top teams maybe just going to be performing poorly today. Maybe these teams looked back at the VOD review. They did their research of yesterday's games and be like, okay, how do these teams like playing? Where do they drop? And what can we exploit specifically against these teams that'll make them die early in a lobby? where it's so kill heavy based now.
Really is. Dope Esports here as we take a peek at the Dope Slayers, Hayuya and crew. They were actually really impressive yesterday. Pretty consistent all day long. Decent performance, but again, it didn't result in a ton of points. They're close. They're certainly within striking distance. Currently sitting in 10th place right now, though. The Dope Slayers have been a bit of kind of a dark horse out of the NA region, and ultimately have had flashes of brilliance, but ultimately still trying to string together those consistent performances of the likes of NHyper and YKG.
Yeah, I think you noted it perfectly. Just getting that consistency, just putting the string one against the other, and just trying, make one into two. We're really just looking for, the consistency in a lobby that is, if you're not placing top 3, there's a good chance you're not really getting that many kill points. And with that, you're going to be seeing these teams that are, they're maybe just one zone, one stride short of just becoming this top team in the lobby.
100%. Influence Chemin here. We got a little boy hanging out, getting some nice loot. I mean, I'm really curious to see what Influence Chemin does today because, again, they probably performed less than their expectations yesterday, finishing 7th overall. But the interesting thing is if you really break down kind of how those points were distributed, only 6 of their points out of 30 were rank points. They fragged out. They were tied for 2nd overall in elims yesterday, but just didn't finish high in the leaderboards at any point, really. So they were getting a lot of action. They were actually getting some eliminations. And if they can string together some good placements today, I really like their chances as they're a super, super strong team out of Brazil.
Yeah, I think with that too, it's a real big mental game with teams. If you're fragging out and you're not getting the zones for, I guess you could say, not favored for you, and you're dying in that 4th, 5th ring, but you're pulling, 8, 10 kills possibly from a match. It's okay, we just go next game. You're feeling it. But for these lower end teams, if you're not fragging out and you're not placing well, it's just a huge mental strain because you start seeing that point gap from 1st to 10th, 12th, 16th even just starts spreading out, and it really just starts mentally draining you as a player.
Absolutely. We take a peek over at the A7 roster, who they bring tonight, and it is the 4 familiar faces that we have come to know and love out of the Brazilian region. It's Carrillo, Mavioso, Senatexa, and Rebel. Man, these guys are absolutely bananas, and again, continuing to perform well, not only in the region, but also on the global stage. Thinking back to PMGC last season and really watching the Brazilian teams come out and for the first time ever kind of knock the Chinese teams down a peg and finish towards the top of those leaderboards. Really, really impressed with the growth that region has shown, and A7 has been that team to kind of lead the charge down there. Incredibly consistent performers.
Yeah, they've definitely shown, they've been wanting respect from that region. Those players are all, just insane gunners. I'd even argue that they're probably the best region in terms of gun skill. Right now, we're actually seeing a forced fight outside on the north side of zone at Ruins almost. Not too sure if they're going to get third-partied or if they're going to be able to take this straight 4v4 fight.
Tough positions for really everyone here. It's like, it seems like the zone's certainly going north of the water, a sliver of Military Island still in. I really like the position of YKG here down at Ferry Pier. Nothing at their back, so they've got nothing but, nice space in front of them. They got good sight lines, and they got cover for the time being. We're going to see here Influence Chemin back off of the fight right now with Royals of War, and they're just not looking to take this on right now, choosing to opt for zone and position rather than getting into it. But we turn our attention now to NHyper getting into it with their rival from the North American region in the Panthers.
Yeah, this spot right here in the zone is definitely one of the power positions. If you open up the map and see, what spot are we wanting to play, this eastern hillside on the south side towards the Millie Bridge is just something that you can basically just hold this whole entire field. And we're seeing Rin almost catching Zuko out in the open, proning. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Absolutely getting laid out by the DBS. That gun is absolutely disgusting. But we are seeing possibly a third party from Execute right behind them. We're going to be seeing, people kill stealing. Valak, actually, I'm not sure what the idea was with the push over. You're hearing Ferry in the back, but I think they are going to be able to get a safe reset onto him.
It certainly looks like a GK first, pieced out on the squad, decided to try to go get better position or hit the flank. Maybe we also see A7 in a bit of trouble here. A couple of their members being knocked as well, and they are in a bit of trouble. INCO Gaming taking a chunk out of them, down to just one. Senatexa goes down as well, and it looks like Overnight as well getting into the action. So A7 is feeling it from all angles right now, and it's up to Carrillo to try to clutch, and is he able to do so? Time will tell here. He's kind of creeping around in this house, trying to get Revu back into the fight.
He is someone you have to be careful pushing. You know, all 4 of these Alpha 7 players are people that, you know, there's
What a nade.
montage. But as I say that, I mean, OK just hitting the absolute Kobe from downtown into the balcony with OK and the third party coming in, maybe? I'm not too sure exactly, but the issue
it seemed
with
like a trade there on those nades. I mean, Carrillo hit an incredible nade through 2 windows. And unfortunately for him, he ate one as well at the exact same time. So props to both those players. But Overnight getting it done against Alpha 7. My pick also out of the lobby in 14th. So Enigma, we're not doing so hot, my guy. We got to pick it up next game. Holy crap.
Yeah, maybe we need to just start listening to reflections more. I'm not too sure. Maybe he's the prophet we needed for NA and that sort of stuff. But I'm really surprised that INCO did not decide to push up and possibly fight this. Maybe they were getting the reset off on the other side of the compound. But, you know, the problem with these sorts of fights at these compounds, and even on that east side, we saw with Hyper, you're in hearing distance from everyone in zone, and people are looking to fight. People are looking to third party you and take that advantage from you.
Absolutely. I was actually curious about INCO as well. They were the ones to kick off that fight right there. They got 2 knocks on Alpha 7 before really things kicked off, and then Overnight finished the job. Looked like took a couple of those kills. You love to see it. Hey, love the aggression there from Overnight. Had a pretty good day 1 here, looking to back it up on day 2. We saw a picture of the zone just a moment ago, and that is looking extra disgusting as it moves further and further south, actually making it more of a possibility that it could go south. The interesting part is literally no one currently on Military Island. So naturally, the chaos rainmaker that I am, I want to see it go to that southern island, and I want Execute to try to hold the bridge off of 13 other teams. I think that'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing, you know, Execute with Sixless and them positioning basically on the top side of the bridge. Basically the best power position in zone next to Hyper's spot that they were trying to hold on that eastern hillside. But like I said before, you know, these sorts of zones, if it shifts a certain way, we're looking at it right now. Water in the zone, you're not wanting to play that. You're wanting to go for kills. I'm thinking we're going to start seeing a lot of teams start fighting on the edge of zone for these sorts of points early on before they have to die, sending it into the water.
You're seeing it right now. Overnight starting to send it a bit. They send it right into YKG. YKG answers back. GK first getting into it now. The Lone Wolf left from Hyper is able to actually pick up an Elim, so still chipping away at the points is GK first, which is actually great for Hyper. And I'm curious to hear your opinion on this, Enigma. What are you doing as a solo player in games? Are you taking those knocks and flush as they become available? Or are you trying to kind of snake your way in, go for placement? I mean, is it kind of situational? Like, I guess, what's the mentality of a solo player at this stage in the game, given the points changes?
It definitely is situational. Like, you know, some instances it's just, you know, you're playing like a rat. You're waiting for maybe for you to be able to sit in zone and shoot people in the back. But as we see here, you know, INCO pulling up the team now is a duo from the earlier fight with, I believe it was Alpha 7. You know, just driving in and you just get a free someone running in front of you. I mean, you might as well shoot him and take that 1 kill point. We're in the point system now where placement is not as heavy. Back in the day, you might have seen, you know, first possibly just go into the water and just start swimming. But since, you know, we've adapted away from that, it's only 10 points for first, like you said. We're going to be seeing him, I think, just going more for if you see a knock, you're thirsting it, or if you see people in the open, you're going for that spray. A lot more aggression out of these sorts of teams like Hyper, along with, you know, the Latin American teams and the Brazilian teams. They are, you know, all top 4, top 5 teams. These are all people that have that sort of confidence in their gun skill. I'm not surprised if we see Hyper looking for some kills here.
All right, the moment of truth just about upon us here. This next shift of zone, it does go north, so we will have ourselves a main island finish here, and pretty favorable, really, for all squads. No one really has to move heavy except for maybe Influence Chemin, and then obviously we've got ATON up there trying to figure out what the heck they're doing. It looks like just trying to hang on one solo member, trying to get into that circle, collect some more points, maybe, you know, take out an Elim if they can possibly find one. But for the most part, things are set. Teams are trying to exert their control. And this is the area of the map, exactly what we're looking at right now with YKG. You've mentioned it a couple of times. This is exactly what I was thinking on that initial plane path. We saw that first circle pop up. This is the area that's so difficult to get across and to try to, you know, get position. Teams can lock this down pretty effectively, have a pretty good spread. And it makes it just a really, really dominant position with great sightline. So I'm really curious to see if YKG is able to hold this down.
Yeah, INF, I would want to say that they're positioning themselves, at least someone in the back, to look for an opening onto YKG. They are, basically touching the white part of the zone, the next zone shift, if they were to look for the fight, so they'd have some time to work with it. But, you gotta ask yourself, is it worth to take this sort of fight? Are you wanting to just chance and finding a spot in zone that's not already taken? Or are you looking to fight this team that you know is there?
One place I don't want to be is in a shack, my guy. This is scary. Out in the middle of a field with about 100 meters to any sort of cover, and you're just chilling.
FLA
Everybody
right
looking
now
at
is
you.
just, they're looking like vultures right now. They're just waiting. You saw just Skeller just trying to run across the open. That's probably about a 100-meter dash. I'm not seeing anyone make that marathon run.
Nope.
You saw the coop in the back already blown up as well, and I'm just thinking, FLA, they're gonna take their time with this. They're gonna take, their 2, possibly even 3 or 4 kill points, taking this sort of shack kills, and then working in towards possibly YKG and OK towards the hillside.
Looks like he may have a buggy still active out there. Tough to see through the smoke, but maybe he makes a dash for it. I'm not sure. If it's me and I'm Fuchs, I'm chilling in this shack until I hear all-out squad fights as the circle closes. I'm eating that blue zone damage and just trying to stay alive. Not giving up any free points here if at all possible, but it's easier for me to say at the caster desk is YKG getting into it. And the shotgun on display, 24K looking to put away Influence Chemin here.
Yeah, we're seeing some nice movement out of 24K, but INF just able to take this 4v4 fight. You said that, YKG had the positioning along the hillside, but you're going to need to be starting to hit shots. They did lose Federal in the process, but I think INF is fine making that trade for this position in zone.
Yeah, I like the position. I like the trade at this point in the game. Getting to be a little bit later on here. We're down to 9 teams alive as Royals of War goes out as well. That was the team from the shack. Apparently not able to make it out as expected, but now it is time for the circle to close here, coming in a few seconds, and excited to see where we go next. Influence Chemin starting to pop off. We also have Flamengo going ham here on day number 2, getting active early. You can see that they've got that position at the top side of the zone there in pink. Do have one member down right now, but they'll be looking to pick up Gigante here shortly. But the circle will be moving here in about 2 seconds, and it is going to go north and favor the Panthers at that compound. So that is a dominant position for the Panthers. They're happy with this one.
Yeah, if I'm execute, I'm really just, punching myself almost with this positioning. They were the teams that were FLA was holding on that eastern side, just almost above the bridge, and they rotated south right onto the bridge for it to go, what do you guess, right back north. TP is ecstatic with this spot. They took it early. They gave up the hillside. They're like, we'll get our kills late game. And I think they're just looking, make sure no one slams us, and that'll be our kill, our KP for the game.
Absolutely. Overnight goes out as well in 9th place. And Hyper, GK first, finally gets got, and he's out of here in 8th, and Hyper picking up 2 points to add to their total. Not what they were looking for, but again, with the way things started, I think they'll be happy to get any points at all coming out of this lobby in game number 1. Good news is 4 games to go after this one here on Erangel, and we are just about halfway through this first game. We've got 7 more teams standing, and we've even got 4 of those at full strength right now. Anybody catching your eye, aside from the Panthers, is having a really good position here?
Definitely FLA. Gigante has that Cray weapon. He's got the money maker. He's got the Bob Barker, as Hot Jukes likes to say back in the day. He knows, I'd be scared if for any team to push this sort of squad right now. They have the weapons. They have the positioning. I think you almost just look to rotate almost into TP. Like, even though I contradicted it from before, I think you'd almost want to fight that because that gun is absolutely insane right now.
Yeah, I'm almost thinking if I got, DBSs and MK14s close range on auto, that might be a fight you take at this point and try to get that compound locked down. Again, TP holding it at this point, and it's the only hard cover really still remaining in zone aside from some trees out there. This is an interesting circle. Again, going to be shifting here in about a minute. We'll take a peek at that, but really a couple of teams starting to pop off. Flamengo, Influence Chemin, really doing a great job elims-wise right now, and Flamengo still with a full team and kind of control of this middle part of the zone. So really excited to see what they do with this opportunity And again, Influence Chemin, I asked about them at the start of the day, seeing if they could put something together as far as rank, get some consistent play going. Where is he getting shot? Up the hill. Nice angles here from Flamengo. I was like, where is that coming from? But Influence Chemin starting to put things together, get some momentum going for the remainder of the day.
Yeah, they're really starting, you know, have a strong foot on the day. That's always what you like to see. And these shacks, I mean, you said it before, those little windows, you are getting seen from everywhere. You've got INCO from the east, DPS just absolutely staring at them from a window. Like, how do you even challenge that sort of fight? But as I say that, 8-7 is actually pushing, or AGG is pushing FLA on the hillside. Completely open, and I just think they got absolutely squad wiped.
Ooh,
Oh
Valak
my
gives
goodness.
Flamengo an opening there. Just immediately gets knocked.
Yeah, I would love to see some sort of aggression from FLA. You know, they might have been able to keep track to kill feed, knowing, okay, you know, TP is a 3-man. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem like the case. They'll keep their power position. But like I said, you know, their supreme position in zone, they had to make or AGG had to make a play on FLA. And unfortunately, you know, it's just, what do you know? Like, it just doesn't work out. Go next game. Try to figure out a different game plan to prevent that from happening again.
Absolutely. As we saw the map there, this is a really interesting circle because really half of it's unplayable right now. The left part of the zone, that western portion, is literally out in the middle of the field, wide open. No one's going out there. So we've got the ridge to play on, which Flamengo currently controls, but they're out of circles. So they need to push into that a little bit, which means they're pushing straight into execute, and also the dope slayers that are going to be coming from the south across that street. That street crossing, gonna be deadly. It's gonna be absolutely nutty. And then obviously we've got the Panthers hold up in the compound here. So this is gonna look really interesting. But it also looks like Flamengo has a beat on INCO. They know INCO's in the warehouse here, and will they try to coordinate to wipe this squad so they're not all colliding together before the zone actually forces them to move? It's an interesting play by Flamengo. I'm curious to see if they sync up and actually make this push.
Yeah, I would have actually liked to see him, if they knew that the solo was there, I would have liked to see him actually just almost snake up onto him. If they lose even one player right now, Execute is in a position where they could just push up and immediately just force a fight, play for trades.
Ooh,
DPS,
big
I think,
nade.
is going to be forced to fight INF on the opposite side of zone. I think these two teams are just going to be forced to, you know, have a 4-man on top of a hill looking down on his feet. You know, DPS shooting him in the back actually towards Execute. We see the INCO player spotted by FLA now, Gigante, holding the smoke play. He's holding the top side of the ridge. They're wanting to play up here. I'm not too sure how much of zone is actually going to be playable for him. And there we go. You know, Nenabete tried his best. He made the smoke wall. He made the little smoke train, but unfortunately, you know, you run out of those at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the beauty of PUBG, right? The circle sometimes dictates your lifespan, and you know you run out of utility, and you do the best you can. Not bad from INCO though, picking up 6th place overall in this lobby. Flamengo looking strong still, and Execute. Whew, I will say they got super lucky. That grenade earlier landed on top of the group. It didn't get any knocks, but almost the entire squad was knocked down to less than 10% HP. And if they would have picked up just one elim there, a one knock, that would have been a really interesting signal to Flamengo. Maybe they crash on it, maybe they don't, but Execute still strong, still 4 strong, and they're in the fight still. Influence Chemin starting to pop off right now against Dope Slayers as well, crossing that street, and things are getting interesting.
Yeah, just as you said, you know, whenever you hear that nade bounce right next to you, you're almost holding your breath, just hoping it doesn't knock you. With INF getting the nade knock, but we're seeing this 1v1 by GC God through the smoke. I'm loving the play, but he does get traded out. I think we're down to just 2 on Execute up. Going for possibly a reset. FLA, I'd like to see some more nade spam out of them to clear this team out, because if they do clear Execute fast enough, they could possibly shoot INF that is actually chosen to go down the hillside and try to wipe out DPS for the kill points.
This is really good play by Influence Chemin, rotating around with the vehicles, grabbing control of the zone. They're actually leapfrogging over the Dope Slayers here, cutting them off from any sort of position. And ultimately, if they are able to outlast here, they're going to end up with the winner of Execute versus Flamengo. Sixless is the last hope, it looks like, and unable to deliver. Flamengo eliminates Execute in 5th place, and that has them at 18 elims right now. Look at that, 1 HP is the difference of them staying in the fight. But Quan is not done with the pressure. Nades inbound, that pressure, like you said, picks up the squad wipe. Flamengo out in 3rd place, but 18 elims to boot. That's a massive performance, but we still have a couple of teams left.
Yeah, if we're looking at the active scoreboard on the right side of the screen, we're seeing, you know, TP able to get this late game placement, but unfortunately, you know, compared to IMF, they're at 2 kill points compared to 13. It's a straight 3v3 battle. We love seeing this sort of stuff late game, just a straight up, you know, brawl wits, whatever you want to call it. But if you're looking at the scoreboard after the game, INF, even if they lose this 3v3, they're going to be way above TP in terms of the points.
Yeah, they're going to be above Flamengo as well. I mean, they're going to pick up 10 for the chicken dinner if they are able to pick it up, and really, really impressed with Influence Chemin, their positioning. They did not have they were not zone blessed by any means here. They maneuvered to take this position and fight some teams in the process, so really liked their play. And ultimately, we knew it was going to come down to TP and somebody, right? They had that compound, they had that zone position pretty much on lock, and as long as it didn't hard shift away from them early, they were going to be the team remaining here in this final fight, and we see just that. And so now it's up to Valak, Golden Dragon here, and you know, I think that who else is with them? It's Quan.
I believe it's Quan, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to clutch it up here and win against probably a superior squad in Influence Chemin that also has momentum on their side. 13 elims at this point. I mean, they got a bit of a snowball rolling down the hill at this point.
Yeah, so I gotta ask you, between these two teams, who do you think is pulling out the chicken dinner?
I'm going to go with Influence Chemin. I kind of chose them early on in the game after my original pick of A7 went out. I was like, I want to see these guys actually pull it together. The elims and the actual gunplay has been there for them, but whether it's been, like yesterday was super third-party heavy. Every time a fight would break out, it was seemingly people were getting shot in the butt from another angle. Today, Influence Chemin has to get something going, and with this, this is going to put them dang near the top of the lobby again in overall elims, and now they'll have a chicken dinner to go with it if they are able to pull it out.
Yeah, I'm liking Influence's position right now. Kayowski, a long-time player from PMPLs. He's definitely someone, you know, obviously when we look at the kill spread of their roster, it's 5 on him, top fragging for the team, and possibly even picking up all 3 with him being just that caliber of a player. But TP actually choosing to rotate around the zone into Lil Boy, not being able to pick up the knock, and Lil Boy spots both of them getting a 2-piece with a long-range spray. And INF is just looking, okay, where's the last player? We're picking up this kill point. Don't let him die to zone. Quan might actually just look for the shots when he jumps out of the buggy. If he gives him that chance, we're seeing a headshot going on. But his teammates, hard to shoot someone out of a car. We're seeing INF pulling out with the win there. I believe Kayowski had 6 total, possibly for his team there.
That's a really good play right there. I was kind of curious to see how that went down because literally both teams inside of vehicles, driving around the map, trying to discover where are these guys hiding, each team leaving kind of an anchor behind. TP had somebody in the compound, and Influence Chemin had that off angle up the hill who paid off in a big way, picking up 2 elims at the end of that game. Influence Chemin picking up their first chicken dinner of the Americas Scrims. You love to see it. Amazing first game action. I was enthralled, although Enigma and I have to clean up our predictions because they were piss poor. I will say that.
Well, me too, brother. I mean, dude, YKG placed like 12th or something like that. Not bad. I mean, 4 points, but I think Loops and then also who you predicted, they ended up getting second, no, excuse me, 0 points, 0 points, my bad. So not a good performance at all, and definitely night and day from yesterday, which is going to my point that I made yesterday actually was, you know, consistency is key. When we think about what these guys are competing for, Enigma, they're competing to, you know, move on to the next stage, which they're already qualified for, the PMPL Americas Championship, right, for spring 2023. That's going to be a multi-day event, I believe a 3-day event, which means you're going to have to perform well, not only on day 1, but also day 2 and day 3. So if you play well yesterday, like your Loops, and then you get eliminated, you know, map 1, you know, right off the rip in day 2, well, you're going to be in trouble, Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, with that, I think a lot of that, you know, Powerbang and I are just unlucky with the casting curse.
Could be.
Maybe I need to change it for them to be able to perform highly here, but, you know, this is Scrims with this sort of stuff. This is stuff, though, that you're wanting to practice these sorts of plays. You're wanting to try stuff new, and unfortunately, it doesn't look pretty a lot of the times.
And that's okay. PB, that's a great point. You know, with it being scrims, this is the time to air it all out, try some new things, see what works, what doesn't work. You should have, I mean, it's not even you should have. These teams do have a great fundamental foundation when it comes to the game, so they're going to be just fine. But maybe trying something out, trying a new landing zone or landing drop, rather, maybe split drops, which might be uncharacteristic for some, now going for it. So that's okay. But Flamingos, I was really happy with them, man. They performed incredibly well, and I believe even matching Influence Chemin with the same amount of points, or at least roughly. I think Influence Chemin did get more, but 23 points for Flamingo, not bad.
Impressive stuff indeed. You can see 26 for Influence Chemin overall, but still out elimed by Flamengo down in third place there. 18. That's a massive, massive performance. And as we said coming into the game, Influence Chemin is one of the top teams in the lobby in overall elims. This should put them firmly in that top spot overall. And I'm curious to see how much they jump up the actual leaderboards here in just a bit. But the interesting thing for me, you got North America repping heavy here on the top 5. The Panthers, Dope Slayers, Execute, and Hyper all on this first page. That may be a bit of a surprise for most people predicting some of the results of this scrims.
And we move to our next page, Enigma, and some heavy hitters, including Alpha 7, a team we didn't mention during the replays. 14th place, literally 1 point, something I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking at Loops, who with that, just the two teams of Powerbang and iCaster Curse. YKG, as you said, you know, at least for them, they're picking up 4 elims, just a squad wipe worth of points there. But notice how, you know, these bottom teams, almost all of them dropping goose eggs, a few of them barely picking up maybe 1, 2, 3 kills. You're wanting, you know, at least if you're taking a fight with a team, you're getting 2 or 3 points. You're taking those players down with you. You're wanting to make sure that you're able to keep yourself up in the leaderboard.
And PB, I want to pose a question to you because second place, right? Panthers getting that position, and good on them for doing so. But the reality is they only get 9 points for their good effort. Meanwhile, third place Flamingo get 23, Influence Chemin in first get 26. Where's that balance from eliminations to placing? And Panthers, can that strategy, despite them getting second, will this be fruitful for them and help them maybe going into the next stage?
I think anytime a team places well, right? If you're picking up that first place, second place, even third place, I think that feels good, right? I think that momentum continues to build. Now it's about the strategy kind of getting to those final circles, because once the circle is small enough, you don't really have a lot of choice on whether or not to fight or whether or not to hide. The angles and the cover kind of dictate what you're going to do at that point, but it's really about that mid game, right? Are you going to jump on those travel paths from point to point? Are you going to take the fight versus back out of the fight? You saw Influence Chemin taking some of those. You saw Flamengo aggressive early on. And ultimately, if you're able to persevere and actually win those, that in itself is that momentum that ultimately continues to build. Because again, each rank point or each rank that you climb up is only 1 additional point unless you win the actual map. So again, taking that squad fight and winning, that's worth a heck of a lot. So really, really got to skew on the side of aggression and taking fights, in my opinion. But again, get to late game, it's really just about, you know, hey, what's on the battlefield? What are the angles? What is the cover that we have to work with? And then just do the best you can.
Absolutely. I think Panthers, man, if they can pick up more elims towards the telling, clearly they can survive to the very end, Enigma. If they can just pick up more elims, man, they're going to be scary for today. We look at our overall rankings, though. Loop still in first place, holding on tight with 58, but big story, INF will move Execute down to third place, and they'll take over second with 56. But the point is, from 46 to 58, from 1 through 5, that's a very minuscule point spread. So top 5 getting competitive, Enigma.
Yeah, I mean, with all these teams, they are the type of teams where, you know, we can look at INF from the last game. You know, they're able to drop these 10+ kill games. They're able to make that jump from 5th to first place. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see TP. You know, I think it was more of a mental block almost with them. They lost a player early on. They're 3 players. They're thinking, okay, we'll just pick up our kills because we have a safe spot in the compound. And unfortunately, I mean, we saw Flamingo was able to pick up all those, I think, that they were they were thinking they were able to get. So Flamingo shooting themselves up the leaderboard with TP, you know, even though they're finishing second place, they're like a duck in the water. They're just sitting there.
They are. They are. Hey, big fan of flamingos. Loved watching them when I went to the zoo. Miramar, it's going to be map number 2. Can't wait to see how that one's going to unfold. But seriously, things are starting to heat up quite a bit. Now, Miramar, I go to check my notes because unless you remember offhand, PB, YKG was the first to be eliminated, but we know they were having a tough time yesterday, maps 1 through 4. And then it was actually Loops who ended up getting top 2 with Overnight. I think Overnight ended up winning and getting first. Loops got second place. So maybe a chance for Overnight and Loops, who had very lackluster game number 1 today, to potentially rise up once again and show why they were so good yesterday.
We saw Loops really kind of dominate the lobby. Shorthanded yesterday. Remember, the joke was get rid of a player early. It's dead weight. Right. We don't need all these people on the squad. We're going to finish the game with 2 or 3 members. And they kind of made quick work of every other squad, still playing super aggressive. Ayala popped off quite a bit yesterday. There was just a really impressive job by Loops to persevere. And again, we talked about the Panthers losing a member and playing a bit more passively. That's something that you really don't see from some of the top teams in the region. Hyper and YKG typically play pretty aggressive unless they're down to 1 member. And then when you look at the Brazilian and the LATAM teams, again, that aggression stays on. They don't typically shy away. They have that confidence to bring to the table. And that's something that I'm looking for, from a lot of these other teams. It's like, hey, you lose a man early. How does that change things? Are you still playing aggressive? Are you still sending a guy out on the off angle? Or are you kind of bunched up, holding a compound, just waiting and hoping you get that zone? That's really kind of what's setting, I think, some of the good teams apart from the great teams.
Yeah, I mean, Enigma, you being a previous competitor, where is that balance? Because, aggression can be great, but it can also turn into recklessness if you're not careful. You got to toe that line carefully. What is that line, Enigma? When do you just turn into a reckless team versus a perfectly aggressive team playing well?
Well, I think the main thing, is if you're getting those early knocks, you're thinking we got a man advantage, and a lot of these teams are going to be like, we're a player up. We should be winning this fight. We should be playing this aggressive, and they're going for it. We saw, INC from last game, just choosing, even though they were a 3-man on the west side of the zone in that 5th, 6th zone, they're pushing DPS on that south side. They have the advantage. They're getting the knocks, and that ultimately let them win the game.
Fair enough. Well, hey, map number 2 is going to be loading in relatively soon. I mentioned a couple of heavy hitters from yesterday, but who's going to be the heavy hitter today? Enigma, I know we passed the baton over to you to beat a curse. Maybe you can be the savior this time around, brother. Who you going for?
I'm going with Hyper. Their map play, their aggression, I think, hopefully it's going to work out this time. Hopefully I don't catch or curse them.
All right, Hyper, solid pick. PB, what about you?
Man, I really liked the play of Loops yesterday on Miramar. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the zone control was just excellent, and they were shorthanded. I don't foresee them coming out and dropping another goose egg here. 2 games in a row, so I'm going to go with Loops in this game to come back with a vengeance. That's who I'm picking.
All right, Loops, I like it. In Hyper, I'm going to go Dope Slayers. Why not throw them out there? They got 4th place on this map yesterday. I think they're shooting for first today. Let's see if they can do it. Map number 2, we're heading into Miramar. Can't wait to get it started. Who will end up on top? Chat, let us know your prediction as well. PB Enigma, take it over.
4th place yesterday on Miramar and 4th place in the last match as well. Dope Slayer starting to put some things together. Again, light on those elims, but again, pretty consistent on the placement points right now. We'll see if they're able to pop off here. Last game, though, really 2 teams kind of shining here. We had Influence Chemin, 16 elims. We had Flamengo Esports, 18 elims. But if you look at the damage from these 2 teams, that's where I'm really seeing that aggression speak volumes. Flamengo doing almost 3,000 damage as a team last game. Only 4 teams total were over 1,000 damage collectively. So Flamengo, absolutely monstrous performance in game 1. They'll definitely be looking to carry that forward here on Miramar.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to them. You said Dope Slayers. I'm really feeling they're starting to get into the groove of things right now. They're putting 2 and 2 together. Obviously the last match was a lot more just 2 teams dominating. But if you're DPS, you're looking, okay, like we're getting this stuff together. That's just, 2 teams just had a pop-off game. You try to go to the next. And with Miramar, this is definitely my favorite map from competitive. A lot more map-based knowledge, a lot more just holding certain positions. We see execute, on the south side of zone. A lot of teams just pulling off. I'm not sure if we're going to see any early game fighting here. Always love the early aggression from teams on Miramar to try to get that early positioning for the late game zones.
Gotta ask Enigma, have you ever seen like a Campo Militar in circle, like a little bit further northeast than this?
I believe it was to the east of La Cabrera. Basically where that's, if you're looking at the map, if you guys have the map pulled up on this north side of zone, it ended just to the east of the water. Just completely, you're seeing the wall that's on the edge of the Miramar map. The only other weird one was I've seen an island ending to the east of Impala. Now it's mostly just normal drops from teams.
Exactly.
As I'm saying
same.
that, Joey
Ooh.
almost hitting the
Ooh.
Winchester shot. I think we've only seen 1 or 2 of those ever in PMPLs. Fighting
no.
dope. They already have lost Fears in this early game fight. We're seeing a possible vault play. I'd love to see Ayuya jump through the window and chase him down the stairs. Oh my goodness, Chico playing as a madman, not expecting Ayuya to actually peek that angle on DPS. I think they're just going to be sending it. They know the player's weak. It's early. What are the chances he has meds, heal himself up? But Chico getting knocked after the reset, that's not something you want. DPS looking to actually go for the thirst, but I mean, PB, what are you thinking here? If you're YKG, do you try to back up here, or are you looking to fight DPS in a man disadvantage?
You know, at this point, I think they're locked in, man. I don't know if they can back up. They've got Joey, they've got Fears kind of in the building here. Chico already wiped, and what a great clutch play. Holy cow, can you get a finish, though? Fears is really low on equipment, almost no ammo, and the nice bait, and YKG brings it back. Nesquick down and out. Dope Slayers eliminated. That was a tables have turned moment. YKG clutches out with their backs against the wall. Enigma, I don't believe what I just saw. I thought YKG was out of here again.
Yeah, you're going to have to give props to Fears. I mean, not everyone is able to pull off that 1v2 just Uzi clip spray. You're only with it with, I believe, 25, 30 bullets in that gun. You're using half of it for each player. So he's essentially hitting every bullet in the clip, getting both those knocks while staying alive. So after that, you know, he's thinking, I need to go in. I need 24K behind me. You're needing to trade me out. They go in, hit the bait and switch play on the player with the shotgun, and it just results in them getting into a 2-on-1 of all things as a player disadvantage in that fight.
Man, I don't know what happened to Dope Slayers there. The wheels kind of fell off the bus on that push. They had a knock to start things off. Then they picked up a nade and flushed on Chico. They had a 3-on-1 situation there for the moment, and they were not able to convert, losing the whole squad in the process. Really, that's a fight that Dope Slayers has got to win. That was just really, I don't know what I mean, look at Fears at the top of the stairs here. He's got 20 HP, 10 HP. And they couldn't get one bullet on him. All they needed was one.
I think the issue is Robert just stopped at the top of the stairs. He's trying to play that TPP angle, not expecting Fears to play that close, unexpected angle. You actually notice Fears was pointing himself into the wall as well to make sure his gun isn't poking out, giving him any sort of information, trying to give himself that advantage, and fortunately it worked out for him.
Really impressive stuff there from YKG. They really needed that, man. They've been in early fights in nearly every game. And this is a team that thrives, you know, kind of they get some momentum built early. They're not a team that has been challenged often in their region. Most teams respecting their drop spot, and they've tried to figure things out, dropping in some new places. And that's one thing I want to call out, too, from, you know, it's a practice, right? We're scrimming here. This is not PMPL. This is not a major LAN. There's no prize pool on the line. And so I also want to give a little bit of leeway to some of the teams and really point out that, hey, they might be trying to do different things. They might be testing new drop spots. They might be trying to learn different play styles where it might not look pretty, right? They might go out early a few times as they're figuring things out. And not only that, they're playing against some of the best teams in the region. So, again, you never know if that's the case. It's just a little bit different when we got the cameras on and, you know, we're picking apart their every move.
Yeah, the interesting thing at the moment, though, is when you're playing these sorts of scrims, the main thing you're wanting is a drop spot. If you go into tournaments without a drop spot, you're basically going in blind and this sort of stuff. If you're dying early, you don't get to practice those rotations. You don't get to practice those play styles and team fighting that these teams like doing. But as I'm saying that, INCO actually picking up, I believe, 2 players off loop. So, I mean, I guess it's just another cash curse for you, PB.
What can I say? Feeling mighty powerful over here, Enigma. It's really
great
showing.
Power
This
comes great responsibility, as they do say. But I mean, INCO looking to actually just circle back, pick up this last kill on the Mystic. And I think Loops is just going to look to leave. They're going to have to, you know, just lick their wounds and just give up on rezzing this teammate.
Don't count them out, though. This is what I was talking about with Loops, you know. Squad's feeling a little bit too heavy. We need to get rid of some of this dead weight. Cartas and Ayala are going to try to finish things up. Getting rid of Chief. You know, Chief, we don't need you this time around. Mythic here is going to get finished off, and down to 2 we go. Loops losing half the team early on in this one. Not ideal for sure, but again, can't count them out. They have been in worse situations than this. Found their way all the way in second and third place consistently on day one. But can they pull another rabbit out of the hat? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, gotta ask though, PB. Are you a fan of Ayala's whip choice? I personally would have taken a buggy or something. I'm not too crazy about the monster truck. It might be good on moving on these hillsides, but when it comes to playing it as hard cover late game, if you have to blow it up, I think the wheels are just letting them shoot underneath the car and just shoot your little toes sticking out.
You know, in my case, they're big toes, but at the same time, I ain't hiding under that thing, dude. I think the buggy's got to be the first choice. I mean, if you're stuck with a monster truck, I think at least you can maybe, traverse that high ground terrain a bit more easily than some of the other vehicles. So there are some positives, but overall, I'm looking for something that I can use a little bit more versatile, and use it for cover as well as a mode of transportation.
Yeah, beggars definitely can't be choosers. My personal favorite was always the bus. Definitely just a tank, a wall on wheels. Fortunately, you're going maybe 5 miles an hour, but if you're able to get that into the late game, I mean, that's basically just a cement wall that's around the map.
It is. It's like a portable wall, and it drives just about like the portable wall you might imagine it to be. It is not the most swift or well-handling vehicle. I have always had my struggles with the bus, but at the same time, it does make for some nice cover.
Yeah, we're seeing the map right now. I mean, it's just about a shift. No one really on this north side of zone. And as I say that, it's just going to shift straight east. TP again in almost a centered position. What are you thinking? Are you thinking, should we be playing this aggression more if you're the Panthers? Are you wanting to just play the same thing as last time and just make sure you don't get that mental block of losing a player early?
You know, with TP and the position they had, I'm surprised they didn't go for that cliff, that high ground overlooking El Azahar. With that being center zone and having that high ground there, that's one where, I think we're going to see some fighting for it. But at the same time, this is a difficult zone. This is not one that pops up incredibly often here on Miramar, as we see Alpha 7 getting into it once again. Ayala discovered at Monster Truck, as you mentioned, getting stopped in its tracks. Looks like the engine has overheated, and they are having some problems here. Ayala finished off. Loops down to 1. But as I mentioned before, don't count them out just yet. Loops has a shot to take this thing home still with just 1 player.
Yeah, if you're Alpha 7 or these teams that are paying attention to kill feed, you are ecstatic seeing Loops down to just 1 player, possibly even wiped within the next zone or 2. But TP, as I'm saying that, Quan giving Overwatch to his team, slamming into Flamingo, the top fragging team from last match. Nate getting 1 with the UMP. Valak also winning his 1 with an AK. We're seeing Zuko push in with the best gun in the game for CQC, and just absolutely just splatters him onto the wall with the DBS.
Got to give props to Quan there, because as you saw, he was on that off angle on Overwatch, looking down into that town, and he was marking players, giving that intel to his team that was crashing. They knew exactly where Flamengo was hiding, didn't have to guess as they were entering those compounds, and made quick work of the team that was actually flying pretty high after game number 1. Flamengo out of here in 15th place.
Yeah, it's a shame seeing them go out so early, but as I'm saying that, Trick, not sure what's
happened?
Going on there. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt of, hey, like maybe he was getting shot and just jumped out of his car and knocked himself. But RO, I think they smell. They know there's a rat somewhere in here. They're putting the cheese out, seeing if he'll shoot the monster truck driving by. But ROW just slamming it. But they're actually going to lose one in the process. That's not something you want to do when you have a full team against 1. M2M waiting for his teammates to group up. I could see Stellar possibly bringing another player down. But look at this.
A7's crashing potentially. Did you see him on the way in?
Edge of the zone. We're seeing Alpha 7 just slowly start to creep in. They're hearing this go off. And Stellar's, I mean, if you're ROW, you're scared about this. You don't know if another team's coming, and Stellar is living way too long for this to be a 1v4.
Look at the mini map. They are getting surrounded right now. Like sharks in the water, they are circling. And A7 setting up the trap here on Royals of War. This is an interesting look See if they can pick up maybe a knock with a grenade here. Another self kill here with Unknown running himself over. Overnight in trouble as well if we take a peek at the kill feed. A7 though, hesitant, but they do get that opener. We'll see now if they choose to crash. A leg sticking out here. Here comes the shots through the door. Dreamsy avoids any damage, but Mafioso is going to make the choice now. Does he crash or do they move on to get that next zone position as the circle does move east?
Yeah, if you're Alpha 7, you're wanting to make sure that Revo does not get knocked in this close position. ROW would be able to just push up and basically just instantly wipe him. But what I'd like to see from Alpha 7 is them actually shoot all the car tires on this compound, so when the zone shifts, they're required to just run at you. You're able to just get free pickings, and Alpha 7's able to just pick up the kill points and just rotate in the zone.
They're a perfect position right now to gatekeep this pretty heavily. Like you mentioned, we got to take out those vehicles, and they are still able to be driven. So not fully disabled at this point in time. Royals of War getting ready to make their push in. Alpha 7 chooses to leave them alone. Again, I think a bit of a missed opportunity there, at least to hamper the progress of another squad, leaving those vehicles up. But now they've got their attention set firmly across the way to N-Hyper, who's on the other ridge. And this is one of those interesting fights, Enigma. You're lobbing shots and just sending lead over the valley here, but you can't really do much to finish any of these fights. So it's just, a lot of ammo being wasted. You're not going to be able to loot the kills that you actually get. What are your thoughts about actually taking any of these? How are you conserving ammo as a professional player? Like, are these things that you just kind of leave alone? They're there, or do you actually try to weaken that armor and chip away at this that defense?
Well, when it was SMG meta, people were rocking M4 Uzi, UMP, M4. You're definitely having to be a lot more conservative with grenades, ammo. But now with this sort of shotgun meta, you're carrying, one box of ammo. We'll have to put a note on that with Sixes possibly almost getting blown up. I'm not sure where the rest of Jaguar's team is shooting. That should have been a knock onto him. But oh my goodness, YKG in the far back as well. Everyone is making this rotate on the southwest side of zone.
Missed opportunity there for the Jaguars. I thought Execute was going to lose at least one, if not a couple, driving across there like that. Those vehicles thought were going to be easy targets, but they made it across at least in the near term, but ultimately run into YKG, who has a little something to say about that position. They're trying to hold strong here. Sixless goes down. Execute losing a couple here off of their squad, and it's down to Casper and Ferry to try to make the most of this dip they find themselves in. But hey, they've got a little earth to cover them, and they're just inside the circle, so now it's about who's coming up on the backside here. You can see Jaguar starting to roll in heavy.
Yeah, Execute's going to have to focus Jaguar. YKG, I think, is actually just going to have to tuck tail and run because INCO has moved down the hillside from that west towards the south, looking to pick up some KP here. Casper, they're trying all they can. They're throwing the smokes out. They're playing the hard cover. But I think they're on foot after this. They're going to be free pickings, whether it's this zone or in the next zone.
YKG's circling around. Are they going to come behind and try to take down Jaguar here? This is a really interesting play if they actually do that, because again, they're shorthanded as well, and it does not pan out for them. Immediately knocked here. Jaguar taking down 24K, and Joey goes down as well to Victex here. Fears eliminated, and YKG goes out. Man, risky play there. It's a tough one to sit here in armchair quarterback, because again, they had to go to zone, and with two squads still chilling there, could have very easily gotten shot in the back. Tough call to make. They go for the fight. It doesn't pan out. And that's where that aggressive play, as we talked about kind of in pregame, can backfire on you a little bit as it veers kind of into that recklessness area.
Yeah, I think that's almost just their only play, though. You have INCO on that north side, 4 deep, just shooting what's basically 1 or 2 coops. They don't have that much HP. And Jaguar on this south side, pushing up into Execute. And in that moment, if you're YKG, you're thinking, hey, Execute got wiped. They probably did damage on a Jaguar. Let's wrap around and let's be the one that makes them the sandwich. Let's not be in the sandwich. And unfortunately, it just doesn't work out for them.
Yeah, I like their call to just like, hey, let's try to win this fight here and be the team that actually wins this area of the map, and we can be the ones to try to rotate in. Ultimately, what I did like from that fight though is they made a call, right? It didn't end up being the right one. They didn't make it, but it was a decisive call, and they all as a team went in, tried to make something happen. It didn't pan out, and that's just the way things work sometimes in PUBG Mobile. You make a call, it's either going to work or it's not. It's the fact that the team was together and, buttoned up and on point. That's what I really like to see from them, even though it didn't pan out for them.
Yeah, practice with the IGLing. Make sure you're following through with the call. If it doesn't work out, you go back to the drawing board next game. You try to run it back. That's what these are for. No, and I'm just feeling bad for Jaguar right now. You know, they just had these basically 2 squads fighting him, and they just run into AT7 just on this east side, getting gate kept. You know, you'd almost want them to catch a break. INCO almost just coming out of this stuff unscathed. They've barely taken any damage on that west side, being this thorn in the side for these teams on the south side of zone.
Huge cover there from Milos from the top of the ridge there. I thought Victex was going to get a grenade off and take down Chuko. Chuko takes a bit of damage there, and now it's just up to Seba here. And I feel a little bit bad for Jaguar, as you mentioned, man. They're having to earn every inch of ground that they are fighting for. And as we take a peek at the circle there on the mini-map, you got INCO kind of holding the angle looking towards them with Becker looking over this way. And they've got a nice little swath of that western side of the circle. And all 4 players up and some momentum building as Jaguar leaves us now back to the lobby. So everyone remaining, that means Loops, is picking up at least 1 rank point from here on out.
Yep, I mean, if you're a Lutz fan, you're liking to see that. You obviously would like to see them all 4 up. But looking at the mini-map right now, the map on the left side of the screen, the Panthers holding a huge spread to the south of INF, top of the mountains. You know, you love seeing that if you're TP, and I'm anxious to see where this next zone shift goes.
Look at Cartizan in the middle there. He's got a compound for Loops right in the middle of the map. And it's going to be tough for teams to challenge that. Maybe the likes of A7 actually heads in. I think they're driving around waiting for the circle to form. They'll see where it's going to go before they choose their position. It can't shift too hard here, though. I mean, we'll see. There it is. It's right on that compound. This is where I think Cartizan might have to make his final stand. We'll see as A7 eyeballs where they go next.
Yeah, you're going to assume, you know, someone's going to slam you. If you're N-Hyper, I'm really interested to see, you know, how they play this sort of zone. They have, you know, a lot of that center position. They have someone holding one part of the compound to make sure they have that foot into the compound if it does reach the edge of the zone. But they are, you know, having to keep out these teams on this east side. You know, we noticed TP on that southeast side. I believe they're going to probably just rotate up that east side into N-Hyper and INF, trying to fight it out. But it's just, I think it's just going to be a bloodbath on this edge of zone here.
And I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it. It's going to be a good bloodbath. We got INCO starting to pop off a little bit. 11 elims right now. Next team to them is 4 for the Panthers, and Zuko starting to get into it with INCO right now. Really happy, though, that they showed up today and are participating, because that's just another super powerful team in the lobby. Again, 3rd place in PMPL Brazil. So INCO Gaming, not a team to fool around with. A lot of experience on the global stage as well. So best of luck to them as we pursue, you know, tops on the leaderboard. We'll see if they can actually move their way up as the day progresses.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to know too, you know, is INCO is just, you know, a lot of these teams that did place, you know, top 3 or 4. We only have the 1 sub team from Execute. All these teams are coming here with confidence. You know, they shouldn't be afraid to take these fights. But unfortunately, you know, I would like to see the Panthers making a bit of a better move, taking this fight against INCO. They had that split on that southeast side. They look to possibly come up and over and fight INCO for the south side of the zone on these hills. But Nate, I believe, just was almost on the roadside, exposed to everyone and just getting instantly knocked and thirsted. So it's really unfortunate seeing that sort of play come out in this sort of high-level lobby. But, you know, it's all about rebounding from that. What can they do in this position? They have 4 points already. What can they do with just the 3 players remaining?
Look at the control that Alpha 7 is exerting right now on the circle. They are covering about half of the map right now that's still in play. Good sight lines here, and Influence Chemin actually doing something very similar on the other side of the circle. So really impressive spreads from both these teams, and INCO on the southern side of the map. Really good control being exerted, and then everyone else kind of chilling in the middle. You've got Overnight trying to survive, and Hyper, Loops trying to survive, and TP actually in a decent spot, although seemingly a little bit more disjointed here with Zuko chilling in the compounds. He's going to get overwhelmed shortly if INCO has to rotate into him.
Yeah, we were questioning too, you know, Alpha 7's choice to not gatekeep that team, but I think, you know, they're pretty happy with their position right now. They've got probably half the zone under locks. You see all these ridges in front of them that they're able to see for free with the TPP angles. And their only force right now is going to be, you know, how does the zone shift? Is INF going to have to rotate in him? Is INCO going to have to rotate into him from the south side? It's all about these next 20 seconds.
And we're building the suspense. 10 more seconds till that circle is about to reset. And INCO on the move. Got to be scary at this point to be driving a car around in the middle of the circle with all of this zone control being exerted from the edges right now. The Panthers, Influence Chemin, A7, and INCO all on that edge. A7 getting a great circle here for them. They can still play that ridge. And again, N-Hyper has to be pretty pleased with that compound. And again, at some point here, they're going to have to defend it. It's got to be probably this circle. We'll see if teams choose to move.
Yeah, Alpha 7, I mean, they're looking to condense a little bit. I'm not sure about giving up that high point behind them. But INCO, you know, is going to have to rotate in. Are they going to look to just fight this player that's ratting on the side of the shack? Or are they going to look to fight Alpha 7 and possibly play for the win condition spot?
See Kayovsky getting another angle here. Is looking to control more of that circle. Again, these teams from Brazil especially doing a really good job just controlling so much of the circle. Again, sight lines, can see everything, can exert pressure, just like you're seeing right now. A little trade going on, a little three-way fight. A7 taking out the Panthers, but Influence Chemin taking down A7. So this is an interesting one. Both teams will try to get patched back up. Looks like the Panthers losing a couple here, and A7 still able to get their teammate back up. But returning fire right now is Senatexa to the north. Yeah,
if you're A7, you are gasping right as your teammate's getting knocked, because if that happened to be the team from the south side, INC or INCO, they would have just instantly pushed you. Luckily, it was INF, and we are playing with the vague kill feed info, so you're not sure who's getting knocked on that west side. You're not sure if it's the Panthers, if it's N-Hyper. But as I'm saying that, INCO looking to make their spot in the zone where I believe the Panthers were before rotating in to the south of N-Hyper. So I would like to see them possibly pick up some KP, holding Alpha 7 possibly out. They do have those ridges, but there's gonna need to start being some kills going on in these next two zones.
Absolutely. We've got Overnight still chilling. They've got one player left alive, and he is content to just hide and not show himself. Got some players looking in his direction, but nobody's found him out just yet. As again, the kills start to pile up. INCO still sitting on top with 11 overall. 1 minute till the next circle starts to show itself, and only 3 teams right now with a full squad. We get the likes of INCO, A7, and Influence Chemin. 2 or 3 powerhouses from Brazil looking like they're in prime position to win this, and finally, Overnight gets discovered. INCO sends them back to the lobby for their 12th elam. They're in trouble, though. Influence Chemin lobbing some shots over. 2 players down right now for INCO, but it doesn't look like anyone's in position to capitalize on these knocks.
Yeah, I would have really liked to see Alpha 7 possibly be, you know, just hawking the kill feed, seeing, okay, where was this knocked from? Which team is this? And they possibly could have even seen INCO getting knocked on that east side and possibly made a southern rotate to fight them and wipe them out. But as I'm saying that, you know, the Loops player ratting, and I think one of the crates right next to the Panthers, that's going to be a jump scare if you're the unfortunate Panthers player running into Cartizan.
I'm here for it, man. I want this jump scare. I want to see this rat turn into freaking Master Splinter down there. This is going to be interesting. It looks like they are joining up with Cartizan as we speak. Zuko and Valak are about to get a nasty surprise. Cartizan, a nasty player in close range, and he gets the circle. So it's about to get interesting with Influence Chemin and N-Hyper also about to crash that very same circle in all likelihood as the control on the southern part of the circle from, oh, look at this, into your living room. Nice nade there. If that was only a frag, that could have been really cool.
Yeah, Zfon could have maybe just been caught out there, but I think he's able to see just on the edge of the smoke. That's why he's pulling the nade over and over. He's trying to get the timing right to just try to throw a little Kobe at him into the car. I think he misses it. The whole idea,
you know, him a little bit maybe.
The whole idea, you know, a lot of people don't know is when cars pull up, the best option is either to low toss under the nade or under the window where they might be nade or driving up to, or just looking to throw it right at the cars as they jump out. Those nades do good damage. You want to do that, you know, that 50, 60 damage on them, hit them up a bit. Just take some sort of HP down to stall them for your teammates to come and help. But Zfon, you know, holding this forward position, I'm not too sure how INF is going to be playing this. Kayowski pulling straight up, almost getting knocked on the pull-up, trying to bait for his teammates, but Zfon playing an angle where INF was not, almost getting naded out, and, you know, I think Zfon played that to the best of his abilities almost. We're needing more help from QZZ. They smoked off his angle, so it's basically a 1v4 in this warehouse. Not sure, yeah. Getting knocked instantly, and we are just down to the solo of N-Hyper QZZ.
Well played by Influence Chemin there on the entry. I mean, Shifan had not much he could really do, honestly. He was trying to hold off 4 guys, and once the nade started to fly, there was not many places to hide there, but QZZ still trying to the best of his ability to get these knocks. He's got one down, a second down, and now it's clutch time for QZZ. Can he get it done here?
Yeah,
in the circle, this is
back.
tough.
Yeah, the zone was holding him. INF, I think, is really, mad with themselves about letting that fight get to that position. And TP actually picking up the kill. Credit there, Zuko. It's only 2 Panthers players here. I was really expecting NHyper or INF to be pulling through that fight on the north and wiping these teams at the crates, but we might actually be able to see Loops come out with the win. I don't want to say it, but
they didn't check the crate. I'm so excited right now. Cartizan is still ratting, still undiscovered. And I mean, honestly, INCO and A7 could go at it out in the open before Loops ever has to move. So the circle is going to force them out, but the terrain may not give these other teams enough cover to avoid having to fight.
Yeah, we're looking at 2 teams, INCO and Alpha 7, the only teams with 4 players on the squad. But if we're looking at Loops, I mean, we see his position. He essentially gets 1 free knock onto the Panthers, leaving himself in a 1v1. It's just a matter of when he chooses to take that knock, when he chooses to take that 1v1. Because if he takes it early enough, he could be just watched from both of these teams and it results in a 4v4 happening. But as I say that, INCO getting aggressive onto Alpha 7, getting a nade knock. That's not something you want if you're Alpha 7. He's holding the most forward position in the zone. And essentially, your back's against the wall in this position if you're Alpha 7. I'm not too sure how they're going to play this, if INCO's going to look to play aggressive or if they're going to look to just play the next zone shift. I would obviously like to see them wait it out, wait for the Panthers and Loops fight to go down, and then look to make their next play.
That's exactly what I was talking about, though, with these teams having to fight each other. It looks like they do have some ridges to hide behind, so they're not going to fully have to, fight to the death here. But it's almost time. I would look at about 15, 20 seconds left on that timer for Loops to start sneaking their way in. And it's hilarious because Valek's running around with his hands out. And there he is, out of the crates. Loops gets the wipe. Zuko out of here. Valek gone. And Loops up to 3rd place and before he gets wiped. But you love to see it. Putting points on the board. They went from 0 to 7. Loops, man, making something out of nothing there. Big props to them.
Yeah, he did pick up both those kills. They weren't stolen through the smokes by Alpha 7 or INCO. He won that 1v1, same HP for the most part. And afterwards, you're dead. You're just thinking, I need to get these kill points. And he did for his team, resulting in them getting 7. But as I say that, Alpha 7 getting an opening onto INCO. One of them being at 1 HP for Mafioso, gets the reset off with the heal. But we're seeing just a straight up 3v3.
So Nataxa reveals his position here. He's going to have limited time before those nades start to rain their way in. Over the ridge they go. And it looks like they are just missing right now. Becker is pretty much down and out. Going to be looking to provide some intel as he crawls over the hill here.
Yeah, now we're starting to see the smokes. We're starting to see the smokes come out right now. You know that they're running out of frag grenades. But as I said, that Revo getting the knock on a squash. One of the last nades he was probably holding. Mafioso getting his own himself. And that's the big thing with, utility in this sort of gameplay is you got to start hitting nades. They see the last player and that's it. I mean, Alpha 7, I thought they weren't going to pull through, but they end up just absolutely rolling INCO in that 3v4 fight for the win.
Really impressive stuff from Alpha 7. The control that they exerted that whole time, super impressive. They really owned about half of that circle for the last 3 or 4 zones. Really, really great job to them. And again, those decisions early on whether or not to take the fight, whether or not to, withdraw and try to grab position, that's the signs of a veteran team right there. And really understanding like when to go in and when, hey, it's not that time. The zone's going another direction. We got to take advantage of that. And then you saw the likes of like YKG and some of the other teams like, hey, we're going to take this fight out of circle. Ultimately, it might have been the only choice they had. But again, A7 getting that top finish. Last thing I'll say, A7 and INCO, new to the lobby tonight, number 1 and number 2 here. So big dogs coming in with big guns, putting on a big show. You love to see it.
Yeah, game 1, a bit lackluster, right? Game 2, nothing but spectacular. Wonderful job from those 2 teams, really showcasing that, hey, they were greatly missed yesterday, but today they're looking to go up the ranks. And you said it best at the beginning of map number 2, right, PB? And, this is Scrims. It's not times to necessarily be that critical. We will be from time to time, but, maybe these teams are trying out some new things. But for Alpha 7 and INCO, if this is something new that they're trying out, well, they better stick with it because clearly it's the right plays to make. But Enigma, I'm going to go back to Loops, right? Finishing in third place. Cartizan hiding in that container, popping out of nowhere, and I believe he finishes off the 2 last players of Panthers, if I'm not mistaken. Wonderful plays from him.
Yeah, I mean, Loops, you know, they unfortunately that early game play was just not it. They just kept getting caught on rotates from multiple teams. Alpha 7, I think, actually picking up one of them in the first zone on rotates. But if you're Loops, I think you're happy with the sort of performance with that sort of start. You're picking up some kills, you're picking up some points, and if anything, you know, those teams probably have a number in mind of what's acceptable, what are we fine with taking, and I think 7 with 1 player being able to get to that sort of placement for third place and a few kills is definitely what you'd want to see.
But still, Panthers, right? I mean, finishing off in third place, not bad at all, given the fact that in game number 1, rather, when we were over on Erangel, they ended up finishing off in second place as well. So consistency is key. They clearly can make it to end game, right? At least from what we're seeing. But again, are they getting enough kills to justify that end game performance, PB?
You know, I like what I'm seeing here. They're getting to the end of the game. You gotta like the momentum that they're continuing to build. So I'm a fan. You know, you gotta, you know, think that people are gonna want to turn it on, turn up the juice, and get them elems. But again, you kind of take what you're given. But I would have loved to see some crate checking here. You know, maybe clear the zone that you're in, check for those rats.
Sure.
And unfortunately, they did not check that crate. That turned out to bite them at the end there. Holy goodness, Loops and Cartizan coming up with some clutch plays. And had the timing worked out just a little bit differently there, Cartizan could have been a factor in this fight against A7
Sure.
and INCO. That was a really interesting development, though.
How big was that first down for A7, though, on the INCO Enigma? They get that first down, and then they immediately push up, and they capitalize.
Well, you know, they had lost a player earlier, INCO killing one of Alpha 7. You know, they're coming in with this idea of it's a 4v3 fight. We're going to have this. Unfortunately, the forward-most player on INCO gets knocked, making it a 3v3, and then the nades start coming out. We saw probably 10, 15 grenades getting pulled out per team, but Alpha 7, you know, hitting those knocks and just starts getting it away on them.
All right, things are starting to shape up well on our rankings, at least from that second game. A lot of points being accumulated from some that weren't here yesterday, but some that were here. YKG still, you know, kind of middle of the pack. But PB, let's take a look at our overall. Loops still hanging on the first place with 65, still by 2 points over that of second of INF this time around. And Execute continues to hold on to third place. They dropped into third after game number 1. What are you noticing on the rankings, PB?
I'm noticing that 7 points by Cartizan was really clutch. That put them back in first place overall instead of getting that big goose egg there. So really big props to him getting all the way up there. But Execute still being very quiet, but still hanging tough in the top 3, man. Props to them. You know, again, not supposed to be here by, you know, placement in PMPL, but getting that invite as kind of a filler team. And dude, they're hanging strong. They've been quiet here on day 2, 2 chicken dinners day 1, but still in the top 3 and very much in this. Again, I take a peek at the overalls, and really it's anyone's game. So we saw 26 points for one of the teams in game 1. And literally, if you just subtract 26 from the top team right now, that puts anybody in the top 11 able to jump into that top spot in just one game. So really, it's anyone's ball game still.
It's exciting. It absolutely is. We still have 3 maps, PB, so a lot can go down. We're going to take a quick break, though, but the PUBG action is to continue. This is day 2 of America's Scrims for the Titan series, and it's fun. It's fun, to say the least. We still have 3 more maps, so a lot to go through. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. everybody, to the Titan Series America Scrim, day number 2. Like I said, we've got 3 more maps to go, and we're about to hop into our 3rd, and that's going to be Sanhok. Can't wait to see what we're going to get there. I'm Taylor Reflections, I'll be your host, and of course, PB Enigma, they've been crushing it on the cast. Sanhok, Enigma, what can we expect heading into map 3?
We're going to be seeing a lot of fighting. I mean, this map is all about getting those kill points, and the zone is not favorable if you're trying to play for that late game. You're wanting, to take this early aggression, make this sort of spread play out that we'd like to see Hyper make, like we like to see Execute make on that western island on top of the mountain. Not sure if they're going to get that zone this time around, but it's definitely a fan favorite for people that like watching PUBG Mobile Esports.
Sanhok yesterday. So what did we get from that one? It looks like Execute. That was their map number 3, one that they ended up taking. So now they're going back in, PB, to maybe try and reclaim that throne. They've been hovering in that 3rd place, third place as of today. Let's see if they could do it. I mean, you mentioned how many points, right? 26 points could absolutely catapult you up to 1st place. This would be the time for Execute to execute that plan.
It would indeed. Cheeky use of the word execute there. You love to see it. I'm looking at Hyper to hopefully get things going again. They started again pretty slow in the first 2 games. And again, just like yesterday, had a goose egg coming into game 3. Sanhok is their map. I'm hoping they pick things up and get the momentum going. I'm not going to pick them to win, just because I want to see them prove something first. But again, I'm looking at them to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? So again, Brazilian teams really showing out today. A7, INCO, Influence Chemin, all rolling right now. And that's exactly what you'd expect out of the region.
A7, they're quickly going up the ranks, right? Especially after that win Enigma. And Loops, though, I want to ask you, as a competitive player, they consistently always have 1 player, 2 players in the end game. What's going on? What can they do differently, despite it working technically? I mean, they are in 1st place, but how can they fix their initials? How can they fix their initial drop?
I think a lot of it just comes down to, what was their mindset coming into today? Was it the same as yesterday? Are they trying stuff new? If it's the same as yesterday, you're wanting to change that. You've gone out early, essentially. Both these first 2 games, obviously the last game was a bit more, 3rd place, but a few points. But for their standards, they're wanting more. They're wanting to have 3 or 4 players alive, not 1, in that late game position. Now, one team I'm liking to see, or I would like to see pop off in this game, would be the Panthers, NA representation. They have gotten into the later parts of the game, 2nd and I believe 4th place in the last 2 games. They were starting to pick up more kills going into that 2nd game. And this game, I'm hoping that they're able to thread it through together.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be big for them. You guys have constantly been talking about the new addition of the new points for 2023. Eliminations, they matter. Placings, they matter too, especially for momentum, PB. I absolutely agree with that, but you've got to start getting those elims, and I do think a lot of those elims are going to come in endgame. Panthers, they're making it to endgame, but can they start getting those elims? They might have been able to do it last game if it wasn't for Loops, coming out of the crate. They should have cleared that area. But we're about to hop into map number 3, Sanhok. Let's get our predictions in, and I hope you thought well for it. Enigma, who you going for?
Going with the Panthers. Like I said just now, they're the team that I'm feeling. Fingers crossed, hoping that they don't get caster cursed. Knock on wood.
Hey, at the end of the day, they hold destiny within their fingertips. That's the way I look at it, all right? PB, what about you?
They're warming up. It's going to be A7. I'm picking Alpha 7 to take a back-to-back here. We've seen them in major tournaments so many times, rattle off 2, 3 wins in a row. And now that they've, knocked off a bit of the early game rust in game number 1, we see them take game 2 convincingly. I'm loving their splits. I'm loving their control. I like Alpha 7 for this game.
Alpha 7, solid pick. Who knows? They could finish in 1st at the end of this. After that, they were scary, without question. I'm going to go with Execute. I think they're going to finally get one today. They've been winless, but it doesn't mean that they've been silent. They have definitely been out there making plays, making moves, and staying consistent at the top of the food chain. Top 3. That's not bad at all, okay? Especially when you have 16 teams competing during the scrims. So Execute, they're going to be my team, but let's see who it's going to be. Like I said, the competitors, they hold destiny within their fingertips. So let's get it going. Map number 3, we're going into Sanhok. PB Enigma, off to you.
Love to see it. I'm curious to see if Alpha 7 takes the boot camp drop, as we've seen kind of in the past. They were not here yesterday, and I don't believe there was a lot of fighting going on inside of boot camp. Normally that's a YKG drop, so have to see if there's some drama in the early game. Excited to see what pops off here on Sanhok, though, especially with the smaller map. Could see some of those fights early on, and again, with that scoring and with these elims being so precious, might have a nice little active jungle map for us. What do you think, Enigma?
Yeah, I mean, you noted with YKG possibly having to fight Alpha 7, who just came off that huge win on Miramar. We had noted, during the Miramar that YKG has been fighting a lot in these early game skirmishes, and it's been looking bad for the most part. Fear's thankfully clutching up that 2-piece at 1 HP. But if you're Alpha 7, I think you're dropping boot camp. You're not afraid. And as I say that, of course, they are going
fear
east.
off.
Yeah. Just Caster's Curse to the next level, I guess. This is going to be a southeast and northwest plane path, basically able to stretch anywhere on the map. You're not going to see anyone looking for cars to rotate or any boat strats. Back in my day, that used to be the play teams would make.
Yep. Looks like Influence Chemin's going to take over boot camp here. They won that plane drop. You can see YKG veer off. You can see Alpha 7 veer off, and even Overnight take over that spawn area here for the looting session. One drop that always interests me, and I'm really curious to get your take on this, is NHP. NHyper in the bottom section by Sami. They basically take that entire southern island, and it seems as most teams typically respect it. And I'm curious, if I'm an IGL and, I know that there's a massive split here, I'm targeting Rin. He goes for the vehicle on that road every single time, and he's going to loot one of those nearby buildings. Everyone else is basically on foot. I don't know, man. It seems super risky, but no one ever bothers him. What am I missing there, Enigma?
Yeah, I think the main thing with NHyper is just putting yourself in a position on that edge of the map itself is just too daunting for people to really want to play. Their previous drop, I believe, was on that western bridge north of INCO. Just holding a spread there. They loved being able to have access to that northwest island along with that southern island, because if it is a hard shift there, they basically have full control. They have pickings, you could choose whatever spot they want, and they're able to hold those spreads that they love playing. As we're saying that, Flamingo fighting the Panthers in Paradise. Valak having to win a 1v1. He's getting him low, but, I mean, are you afraid to push the DBS in a TPP angle? He's going to go for it. And GC missing the shot. TP losing almost 3 players. Valak is going to be able to get Zuko up. So, if you are the Panthers, you're winning that early game fight, but I think that might have been one too many players lost for you to be comfortable with moving into this next part of the game.
If you're Loops, maybe not so much, but the Panthers, I think they want that full squad, going into the later parts of the game. But the good news is they pick up 4 points, and that is already a decent showing for the game. They're going to want to try to chip away, obviously, and do the best they can here, but ultimately hamstrung early on. Carrillo gets knocked, and Atexa gets knocked. My pick is getting wiped early. This is not great for Alpha 7. Hopefully we can take a peek at that soon. Another interesting thing, though, as we look at Execute, they have typically dropped Camp Alpha as well on that northwestern island, and I didn't see them up there this game. They've been dropping there now for a few months at least, and Alpha 7 in trouble here.
Yeah, I mean, just stuck in the closet of this little cement building. It's a 2v1, thankfully, but you're afraid to push the DBS if you're TC, and I mean, I would be scared if I was Gaji, because he's going to hit the shot, and I mean, we've said it time and time again, this DBS weapon is not something to mess around with. I'm not sure what the thought process was involving the M16, but his teammate's going to look to try to take this 1v2. Subpig, I don't think he's going to be able to get in there in time for his teammate to be not healed up. But oh my goodness,
nice.
Absolute pro from downtown. Getting the knock on a Mafioso, and it's just a 1v1. He has the pre-nade ready, though. Is he going to get over-aggressive? Gets the damage off, but leaves him at 1 HP. I am punching the air right now. If I'm Alpha 7 having that play, you're looking at the spectate afterwards. Every player does it, wondering if he's low enough, and is just absolutely just furious that he's left with that sort of HP.
Bro, what is happening? I really have it going for me, man. My predictions in Titan series on point. These America scrims, oh my god. I don't know that I've seen cursing this bad from a caster in quite some time. I'm kind of liking it. I'm going to start using this power for good, man. We're going to start taking down these other regions. getting them North America boys on top. This is good stuff. But the Chosen here, holy crap. I'm shocked that they won that fight given the swim. I mean, they had it early, but then, man, that was like the tale of two halves, man. You had me in the first half, not going to lie. And then out of nowhere comes Subpig with a clutch grenade, catches Mafioso. And that was, I mean, it was huge that Mafioso got the revive there. But, man, I just had no idea what was going to happen there. Really surprising.
Yeah, I mean, the nade itself was just, you know, the whole cake itself, and then the icing on top was just winning that 1v1. I was really worried. He ran over the nade and lost about half HP, got hit with the little quick lean pre-fire, but the Panthers right now, I mean, we talked about, you asked me earlier with N Hyper possibly getting caught out. The main thing teams remember is who dies early on Sanhok, and are they a team that's close to you? INF probably saw earlier that the Panthers were down to 2, just, hey, we'll clear this out. Maybe they're just ratting around in paradise, picking themselves up a free kill point, essentially.
Maybe. You want to know a secret?
What's the secret?
In my head, the whole time we were prepping to give our predictions, I was thinking Influence Chemin. I literally changed it during my sentence to A7. And I was like, I bet anything that they get wiped. I just had this feeling. I don't know. But now I'm curious to see how Influence Chemin does throughout the remainder of this game, because that's who I was going to go with. And I don't know why I changed my mind at the last second. I was like, you know what? A7 is going to go back to back. I've seen it before. We're going to see it again. The more definitive I call it, it's like the worse it continues to go for me.
Yeah, well, they're just reminding me of Sharks in the Water, you know, seeing a little bit of blood out. And they're the type of players that can execute. They can, you know, aggress on these sorts of teams that I feel like, you know, the Panthers, even though they're winning that 4v4 off Paradise, I think there's still some sort of mental block going on involving, you know, confidence, whether it's in your gun skill or, you know, listening to the IGL calls and trusting it fully. But as I'm saying, you know, N Hyper possibly might even just rotate and execute. Loops holding what seems to be a rat spot for AGG. They must know that a team usually does this rotate. Chief could honestly just full squad wipe a team trying to aggress onto the Loops team that's just north of him.
Chief's been doing that too all day yesterday. He just continued to just 1v2 and 1v3 teams. Has that, you know, really great gun skill, and I love him on the off angle here. So we'll see if he catches anyone off guard. That is a nasty spot, though. You would expect a solo to be there. You know, he's part of a full squad just chilling. So if he does pick up a knock, he should have support from range from the rest of his team that might actually make it difficult to push his position.
Yeah, it's a very rare spot that people play. You know, you're obviously worried about teams going into the compound, so you're east or west, and just being like, oh, there's a player just proning right on the rock here. Free kill, but luckily that hasn't happened yet for the Loop squad. We're seeing Dope just on the far north side of the map, just taking some pod shots with Jaguar. Doubt there's going to be anything really going on there. They do have a whip, though. They might look to crash. But INCO picking up a thirst on the fears. I'm not sure what that rotate was. Chico getting found out. Snaking. I would have loved to see him actually get away with that. But Joey's just going to have to run for the hills. I'm not sure. He might even have to just take a little dip in the water.
Oh, nice shot.
Gets an insane knock onto Becker. This might be possible. Like, he knows where the player's at. His teammate that was knocked marked, hey, this guy's on this east side of the hill. You're going to need to get this knock. Now, unfortunately, you know, Joey has a lot of terrain he needs to cover if he was to prevent these reses to go off, but I think INCO should be able to get the full reset going. Joey's too far out. Squash is able to possibly get the leg up on Joey on this warehouse rotate. But if I was Joey, I'd like to see him. Oh, my goodness. And Becker just choosing to opt out off the tree. Maybe he thought there was a nade coming, but I'm not liking this at all. But if you see at the top of the screen, INF coming behind them in a car. They know this fight's going on. They might actually just be able to pick up both squad wipes on these teams.
I'm shocked at the push here from Squash. Joey somehow, some way is gonna get it done.
Goodness,
dude, Joey's a monster.
Yeah, that first shot. I mean, if you're hitting it square like that, I'm surprised he didn't knock him with just the first hit. But if you're Joey, you're feeling it. Your blood's going, and you're ready to just take another fight with someone.
I love the confirm here. This is great. And, you know, Law did the drive-by. Joey got the heal off, which was absolutely clutch. Love the confirm. And his shots right now are on point. This man's shooting laser beams out of that rifle. And Influence Chemin running into a bit of a buzzsaw in Joey. They're down to just one member. They're also getting third party from the rear. Not the ideal power position they were, you know, in just a moment ago. But Joey, the last hope for YKG, able to make it out alive and actually convert a really, really crappy situation into some points So he's got to feel good about his individual play at the minimum.
Yeah, the other team to note there too is INF, making that sort of play onto him. Obviously, they lost Squash, but actually getting a two-piece knock, I believe, onto, INCO. Getting a two-piece onto INF. I really thought he had it here with the DBS, but couldn't pick up the last player, I think. And oh my goodness, that's just a bloodbath. They get all three of them, but Jaguar, just thrown in a window. That's,
What the heck, man? It was like Influence Chemin's taking out YKG, INCO's taking out Influence Chemin, Jaguar's taking out INCO. It was like a 4-party chain there going on. That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're Joey, you're just laughing it off, thinking, and I lived and you didn't. I've got 3 kill points, and you have, what, 1, or I guess 3 for his teammates. But, I mean, they're looking to just get more kills, possibly. Even though he's a solo, he's going to be running around. I think he's just going to be looking for people rotating on the edge and just try to knock an insta-thirst. Even if he goes down, the point credit that he gets would be insane.
I don't think that Joey has the capability to rat. I've never seen him play quiet. He's just like
I gotta agree with
very
him.
like guns blazing,
Well, there's some positions where you want to play loud, you want to act like you're a squad there when you're a solo, but he's definitely not in one of those positions. INF actually opting to rotate. You look at the map off the mountain, that was just above Joey, or possibly just holding a spread with the 2 compounds that hug the roadside.
Look at this map though. How does Joey have half of the circle as a solo? He's owning boot camp right now, and there's no one behind him anywhere on that western or south part of the zone. That's hilarious.
I think it's just people give a little bit too much respect almost to some of these teams. You make the same rotates, teams like holding edge possibly. And if they don't do it, it just ends up with teams having gaps in the zone. Joey just holding an absolute solo spot. He was that Southern boot camp team that comes up. You got to wonder, how do these teams on the edge of the map rotate in? They have to note, YKG plays in front of us. It's hard to get past a team if they're in front of you. You usually have to go around, or you have to fight through them. And if you don't fight them early on, you're worried about it. It's usually you against a power position. With the map such as Sanhok, it's so small. There's such few power spots in these certain zones for you to be able to hold. It just results in you just having stuff like this happen. People give too much credit, I think. I'd like to see some more aggression early on and question these sorts of plays, but Hyper losing what seems to be 2 players now on rotate. I'm not sure how they lost Efon early, but QZZ getting knocked by OK in the compound, and I think AGG also knows that this is going on here than Hyper.
This has got to get frustrating for Hyper. It seems like this is the case every single game. They play a pretty wide split, and that's pretty normal for them, but it seems like every game they're getting picked and eliminated. So it's like they're down to 3, down to 2 before they can really ever organize a team fight. And that's got to feel bad when you have so much skill on your roster, but you can never really focus all of the guns of your team into a single enemy. They're consistently playing shorthanded in Scrims.
Yeah, that's got to be some sort of disconnect, whether it's the IGL just not being specific enough with what I'd assume would be just the rotate there, the pathing you take, when you're going along these roadsides and stuff, or whether it's just a player, maybe just having an off game. He's throwing everyone up. But Erangel, I mean, this is going to be a free kill for him. Kiss is just not looking at all, and I think they're just going to be going out in 12th place right here in the next few seconds.
Good call. And Hyper out of here. It looks like All Glory Gamers putting them back in the lobby. Unfortunate. I don't see is Kindness suiting up tonight for them. I don't know if I've seen him in the roster. I think I've seen GK, QZZ, Ren, and Chiffon. So no Kindness tonight for
Unfortunately not, but he was definitely a top player in these last PMPL stats. I unfortunately don't have those, but Ren, personally my favorite on Hyper, an NA player. Some of them are imports on that roster from PEL, which is obviously the best region, best sort of level of play. But Ren, being able to outshine a lot of those players in terms of gun skill, in terms of damage stats, kills, it's really nice to see for NA love, so to speak, if you want to say it like that.
Absolutely. They're, solid team. I want to see them be able to play together, get something going. Big fans of Hyper, and certainly one of the better, skill sets in the region. And they just got to kind of pull things together and hopefully get in sync with each other. They definitely have the capability, but unfortunately for them, Game 3, they're putting up another goose egg. So I'll have to kind of talk about it. Hopefully come back in Game 4 feeling a little bit stronger. One thing I noticed, though, looking at the top of the scoreboard right now for this game, everyone with any sort of elims has been minced up, chewed up, spit out here. The Chosen, the Panthers, YKG, all chilling with like 1 or 2 guys left on the battlefield, and that's going to be tough for them. So teams like ATON, All Glory Gamers, Dope Slayers, they're going to be trying to hopefully get something going themselves, because they've all been kind of middle of the pack so far. And with full squads here, you got to like their chances to hopefully have an opportunity to do something big here.
Yeah, I've liked a lot of the plays that Dope Slayers has been making, but unfortunately just not able to piece it through in those final few zones to get them that insane kill credit, insane placement for first or second. But we're looking at the zones of Jaguar holding basically the
This is
center of
gross.
zone. That water there, most players do not know, but that little island just south of Jaguar, all the water around it is essentially walking water. You cannot even swim in it. The only playable spots for that is just at the bridge by Ayuya on that west side. No one even holding that west side of the island. Everyone on this east side. So we're going to be seeing a lot of fighting going on here.
I was just going to say, there is no one on the west. Joey, a solo inside of boot camp. No one in boot camp, really. Everyone is trying to get in. There's going to be 6 to 7 squads all fighting for the same territory on the eastern side of this circle. And All Glory Gamers is going to kick it off here against ATON. The guns ring out and the bodies drop. 2 of ATON immediately chewed up and spit out, and they are down to just 2 players remaining. Milos now definitely on alert. Great traps there set up by All Glory Gamers.
Yeah, All Glory Gamers. I mean, this spot is so hard to push on that western side where AGG is holding. If you corral yourself down into that lower portion of that canyon there, it's just you get seen instantly, and everyone's calling out, okay, I'm going to shoot this player in 3, 2, 1. You guys are going to shoot this player. And look, boom, boom, 2 players knocked. You can't even make the cross anymore. But Loops, I mean, they're looking like they're craning down on people now. They're looking like some vultures right now looking at this INF squad.
That's right. That's what I was saying earlier, man. They don't need all them players. That's too much weight. You know, they got to go short squad and try to make some highlight plays here. Get on the YouTube or something. I don't know. Cartizan, once again, still alive for the team. And anytime you hear that DBS, you're never out of it with this gun, honestly. You can take a whole squad without even having to reload. And Cartizan trying to do just that here against Influence Chemin. Influence Chemin short-handed and really just down to Federal. Incredibly talented player, but with angles, the verticality here, this is a dynamic fight at Federal. I don't like his chances.
Yeah, and they know that the INF player probably has a DBS himself. I like seeing Cartizan play slow, but unfortunately actually getting knocked to the nade that Federal bounced off the roof. He's in a 1v2 situation against 2 players that I personally would never want to go against.
No, these guys are scary. Every single one of them is absolutely beast mode, so Federal trying to clutch something up, make it happen. It looks like Loops is going to try to get one of their guys back in the fight here while Ayala keeps the pressure on. And it looks like they're going to leave and finish the fight. Wow. Okay, so I don't know what that was. I think they felt like they had an angle and we're going to get it done. And just like that, Loops, somehow, some way, they're going to keep on keeping on here.
Yeah, you're wanting to just make sure they don't get the reset. That's why Ayala was throwing the Molotov, throwing nades through the smoke. As I'm saying that, we're seeing the Chosen fighting deep, Dope Slayers on this north side and just getting absolutely wiped out. Just a free few kills for Ayuya. Execute getting wiped out. They were a duo. I'm surprised they reached that spot of zone. They did drop far south side of the map. They lost 2 players off drop, I believe, which is something you never want to see. So unfortunate for them going out with 0 points. The Chosen, thankfully for them, had a few points themselves. But I mean, we're looking at this still, PB. Everyone's on the southeast side.
Hard shift. Let's go. Okay, it's right on Jaguar. All right, it's still going to be a fun zone. I was really hoping to see the chaos of everyone trying to get across the river, but not to be this time. But hey, Joey's still alive. And it looks like we've got a bunch of short-handed squads, with the exception of All Glory Gaming, on that west side, or the east side rather, and everyone else is just trying to, to get into that circle, to that position of strength. It looks like Dope Slayers on the northern part of the circle in a really good position with all 4 players up. So I really like Dope here to take this thing home.
Yeah, Dope has a power position, but unfortunately, I don't think they're going to really be able to pick up too many kills. I would much rather have Jaguar's spot, because that whole south side, if they show it at all, it's just straight open field. It's just a little bit of water too, so you could be shooting fish in a barrel or just little deer running by. No one's making it by you there. Now, thankfully for Loops, they had, I believe it's a coupe, I'm not sure, but the skin is absolutely sick. Going for the little taxi play, getting into the compound. Okay, I think is going to be, yeah, they're going to just be taking that northeast compound. I was thinking for a second they would be fighting Chief here. Thankfully not for them, because Loops does have the 3 magic number for him. Who needs 4 when 3 just lets you win every game?
I think Jaguar needs a couple of elims here, man. Everyone else in the lobby's got 3 or 4, and Jaguar's lagging a little bit behind with that strong position. They got to get it going. I got to ask you a question, though, Enigma. What do you prefer to shoot? Are you liking to shoot fish or deer? I mean, which is the preference?
It would have to be deer, or not deer, sorry, fish. I've never been deer hunting, unfortunately.
You've
Only
been fish hunting, though?
Yeah, I've been fish hunting. You know,
I love it.
you know me
With
going down
guns?
to the beach. And, yep, going down to the beach and shooting either a harpoon or something at him. Whatever works, I guess.
There you go.
You know, we've seen Joey and this sort of stuff get kills with a frying pan, of all things. So, I mean, anything works if you get the job done.
We'll see if Joey busts out the pan. I don't know if this is the time to do it when you're rocking solo with no team support, but hey, man, if he does it, the man's got cojones of steel. So we'll see. He's got the lines of sight here on ATON, and honestly, ATON only has 2 players, and he can see them both. So
yeah, I think they know he's there. One of them was 1 HP healing on a rock, but Joey, no med.
He's got no meds.
And he's just going to get angled out. No one focusing them. They're getting the nice knock. Nice. That was great. Milvan holding out the angle, pre-firing the door. Knows that he's not hearing the meds and is able to get the job done getting that kill.
Yeah, sometimes that spectator client's funny. It wasn't actually shooting through the wall for anybody curious. But, yeah, man, interesting play by Joey. I thought, good shots at the start. Just didn't land that headshot, unfortunately. Milos on the other side, out in the open, honestly, really heads-up play from him. Great gun skill to get that jump on Joey through the window. Ultimately, with no meds, made it a pretty easy wipe for him. But here the zone resets, and now we see that compound in the center is going to look really good to Dope. I believe they know it's empty based on the fact they've been on that ridge now for about 5 circles. But Jaguar's got to move, and so this is going to get interesting as so many teams are south right now, and they've got not too many places to go. But Jaguar taking the jump early. They're going to crash this compound. We'll see if they make the play first.
Yeah, I'm loving this sort of play from him. AGG also rotating on vehicles. The bike of all things. They're going for the slam, and it's an all-out brawl on these rocks here. I think it's 2 knocked on AGG. Everyone looking at 1 HP right now. OKG holding a bit of a spread. Really unfortunate that Unknown goes down there. And they're actually just going to opt to leave in the whips they have. They're saying, we'll get in front
I don't
of you,
see
but...
this lasting very long. We'll see.
Oh my goodness, this is just absolute mayhem right now going around. The DBSs are coming out. But AGG somehow pulling through in this fight right now, I think.
That's chaos, dude. He just drives into the middle. There's people on all sides, and they're like, you know what? Let's John Wick this stuff and see if we can just, go back to back and take care of business. Somehow, some way, they're still alive. It's down to Erangel and David, though. Decent little job moving into the circle. I'm actually impressed. Get this clean up. There we go. Add 1 point for sure. And they picked up the locations of Overnight really quickly. That was actually super impressive.
Yeah, there's really needing to be some crucial knocks here. Both players at 1 HP on the edge of the zone. They're almost going to have to stand up or they're going to get knocked. OKG Rise finding them in the zone, and Erangel just he's gonna have to run in. They know where he's at if Rise is paying attention, but
he's getting third party though from behind.
Dope
Looks like Dope from range there. Yeah, they're out of circle, and they're still taking that fight all the way across the safe zone there.
Yeah, I mean, they're holding that little swamp canyon that's on the north side of the compound. They allowed Jaguar to take the compound below them with the vehicles. But Dope, actually, they're going to be making a rotate in on the south side. I'm not sure where they're going to be slamming, though. Just 2 of them. I wonder if they left a player up on the hill as well. But OKG still just forcing this edge zone fight with AGG.
Overnight here sneaking up, Qin trying to get the jump here on Erangel. Erangel actually somehow, some way healed up awfully fast there. He bandaged his way almost to full HP while he was laying there. Had a little nice break in the action here, but ultimately OKC getting the better of them all. Glory Gaming is eliminated there. And now Loops into it as well. They're down to their last member. Once again, it's Cartizan, and he's got some heals, so we'll see how he can do.
Yeah, some unfortunate DBS shots there. Really only connecting 1 of 6 between the 2 players there. And Overnight's just picking up the free kill there onto him. Kane, I'd like to see him just heal a bit. He's got a little bit of time left on zone and a smoke to possibly stall this out for an extra placement or two, an extra 2 or 3 points if he could possibly pull it through. But, I mean, both of them are 1 HP. They're going to be going down here, I think.
I got to ask, what's going on with the Panthers, man? There's somehow, some way in this final circle, once again, Zuko, dead center, has a little bit of cover to work with as well. It looks like Dope Slayer's down to just 2, and it's really kind of a 1v2v3 here. Jaguar has a compound, and look at this. The Panthers getting blessed. I actually like Zuko's chances here. He is the best position in zone, and Dope and Jaguar are going to have to fight it out. There's no cover for them to get across to this next compound.
See, the nice thing for him is he's not playing the dominant building. He's playing that small little shack that no one likes playing. The windows are absolutely horrendous. You're basically on a platform in front of people. You see behind him, there's the little sniper tower and the little shack just to the right of the one he's in. But it seems like they're just going to clear it out. They know someone's probably
Heal through
it. You know, I'd like to see him run around and jump maybe on one of the pots in the corner. Maybe there's a little cheeky spot you can play, but Jaguar still having a vehicle ready to actually make this crash. They will be able to make the cross. I was thinking Zuko's only chance if Jaguar's cars are out of zone, but that's not the case.
They know he's there.
They haven't. I don't think he noticed too well through the window, though. They're just taking a full-on fight going on. This is way too suspenseful. Zuko should not be alive right now in this spot, but, I mean, I'm kind of liking this idea with him. He's got the gun for it. Seba, unfortunately, still behind him. Like, what's the chance that he just finally notices in the TPP angle? Dope Slayer's forced to basically one doorway at their compound. Jaguar having this full far side, and I'm loving their position compared to Dope.
I am loving the Panthers pick right now. I mean, Seba is in the ground, you know, just chilling, holding this angle. But and just like this, he has let go of this shack, and at this point, he is now, oh, this is interesting. TP has a chance to get him in the back here.
Oh, this is it. This is what you're wanting. You're wanting TP to be able to look at this front door and get the knock in the back. It's a 1v1 situation.
It's a 1v1.
He's got the gun.
This is insane.
Does he play it right, though? He doesn't know he's got the DBS. Now he does. He has only one.
He hears it now.
Oh, man. He's going for it. He's just pushing him. He's taking that right angle peek in TPP. Put a ring around the Rosie, but I'd like to see maybe even like a crouch play. Shoot him underneath the shack, possibly. Get that early damage going, because Zuko is not in a good spot. Joe hits even, I think, one headshot. And oh my goodness, he one-taps him!
Dude, you can see it developing. I thought for sure the way they rolled up on that compound and the way they were throwing mollies and grenades, just nothing seemed to connect. I thought they were going to clear it. I thought they might know he was there. And then the attention shifted to that other building, and exactly what we thought might happen did. Dope Slayers, you know, got that focus, and that shiny thing over on the other side of the street seemed to attract that attention, and the Panthers able to take full advantage. Zuko coming up with the clutch. Chat is going to be going off here in a few minutes. I cannot wait to see it.
I'm pumped up, you know, from game one. It was game one yesterday, Erangel, where we're watching a big fight in the open field. You asked me, you know, what did I think about it? I loved it. And that was suspenseful. You know, the crate play was great just a little bit earlier, right? They didn't clear the crate. Panthers were eliminated in that 1v2. And this time around, Panthers leave Zuko alive in a shed. It's not cleared. And the question I had, actually, did they know Zuko was there? Surely they were trying to clear him out, but if they didn't know he was there, they didn't clear him. That was beautiful hindsight. That worked out for Zuko, PB, but come on. I mean, plays like that you dream of as a competitive player, and Zuko is living the dream.
He was indeed, man. He absolutely surprised the heck out of him. I thought for sure that they knew he was there, and then ultimately, the second you saw Seba start to fire those shots in and run forward for covering his teammates, I'm like, oh no. They don't know he's there, because he's not going to show his back like that if he knows there's a guy posted up in that building. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I think the Panthers are actually going to get this. How about this fight, though, between the Chosen and Alpha 7? This was a roller coaster ride back and forth the whole time. Mafioso going ham with the DBS. But, man, it did not go their way, did it?
I don't think it did, man. Mafioso, he gave it his best go. And you know what? Not only that fight, I want to pass it over to you, Enigma, because it was brought up, and I think it was PB who brought it up. Okay, Panthers, YKG, The Chosen, ATON. They all had 4 to 3 points, right? 4 to 3 eliminations anyways, up till stage 3. All Glory Gaming was the only team that still had all 4 of their members. There was a large portion of our 15 teams competing in this map, Enigma, that had great kills, but they paid to get those kills by losing 1 to 2, sometimes even 3 of their teammates after they were done.
Yeah, this map is just really unforgiving with man disadvantages going on. Like the Panthers, fortunately, were able to, get a little bit of zone bless, holding that shack and not getting cleared out. But we saw, unless you're a team like Loops where you're comfortable taking that 3v4, Sanhok is not forgiving. Everyone's going to be looking at you. You're going to be getting pod shots at you from third parties across the river and stuff like that. And it really was just showing, these teams were just taking way too many losses just for a few kill points.
Was this the push, PB, where All Glory Gaming just full sent it with the cars? I think it's just before. Yeah, this is where they pushed it to overnight. I was blown away by this aggression because it was huge.
Look at how quickly Strap picked up the targets, though. I mean, he drove into the middle of 3 players that were on 3 entirely different angles, knocks one immediately, and then zips to the second one. They did a really good job picking up targets and actually taking that fight. Ultimately, it didn't pan out for him, but they lasted a heck of a longer than I thought they would.
Yeah, Loops, I thought they were going to actually get pinched a lot earlier, but I got to pay respects to Zuko. This is the play, hiding in the shed. He decides to finally make that move. Felt like we were going around circles around the shed for the longest time, but then ultimately Zuko hits that final shotgun shot to get the victory. And we watch it one more time because, I mean, seriously, Enigma, you've been a competitor. This is a play that you dream of, and Zuko he managed to make it happen. Such a good job from him. And Panthers, we've been talking about them, right, being so close to victory. Their end game has been great. Can they get eliminations, though? This is their highest scoring game in terms of eliminations and placing goes, so good on them. They have improved. Third game is a charm.
Yeah, I mean,
look at this parity, though. All the way up from the top to the bottom there. 6, 7, 4, 8, 4, 6, 6, 3 elims. Really, all the teams kind of on this first page chipping in and putting in work this game. So while the Panthers did take advantage of their situation, pick up that chicken dinner, short-handed even, they didn't really gain a lot of spots in the standings because everyone seemingly put up points on that first page and stole them from a lot of these bottom teams, it looks like.
Yeah, bottom teams, let's talk about it. Nah, shit, Enigma, I'll let you talk about Alpha 7. Apparently wasn't the first pick for PB, but was his at least pick that he said out loud. They getting placed in 14th from game number 1, victorious, to game number 3, almost dead last. Talk about a turn of events.
Yeah, I mean,
would have cried if Influence Chemin would have won. I'm happy they didn't, just because if that was the team I was actually thinking and then I said Alpha 7, oh man, that would have been weird.
Enigma, but your picks though, they've not been too bad, bro. Hey, you've been okay. You went with Panthers and well, Panthers won, okay? So Enigma, you're at the top of the food chain right now. I call you a wizard. But Loop still in first place, 72 points, Enigma. INF though, and Jaguar, hey, they're tied, 65 and 65 apiece.
Yeah, and we're looking at the point spread right now. I mean, Execute, they really just haven't moved much on this leaderboard at all. They've only been going down, essentially, in terms of placements. Their points slowly creeping up with maybe 1 or 2 here and there. But if you're Execute, you're wondering, what can we do differently? We haven't made any sort of progress onto Loops, and they're essentially just starting to run away with the gap between just the first 3 top placements of the leaderboard.
Whew, I'm liking it. Things are starting to get a little bit spicy. We got 2 more games left. When it comes to our scrims, it's been 2 days of high-flying action. PB, we move into Vikendi. We saw it yesterday. I want to pull up the results in just a second. But Vikendi, it was exciting, right? We saw that stage 2. There was a good point brought up by Coffee yesterday, PB, about stage 2 almost looked like stage 5 because half of the zone was unplayable in the water. That's what this map can bring.
You always expect those toxic first circles on Vikendi. They're seemingly always half in the water. Pick a corner, right? Northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast. It's going to go one way or the other. I don't know that I've ever seen a first circle be kind of centered up on Vikendi. But that being said, it's also a map with a load of cover, whether it's the tree lines, whether it's the copious amounts of buildings. You just don't see fighting early on like we saw yesterday. So I'm curious to see if we get a repeat of that action or if we're back to the standard, like everybody just kind of hole up in zone and then we'll fight when the zone forces us to fight. We'll see which way it goes.
Enigma, yesterday, Jaguar, they took Vikendi. This was their map, and not a bad placing second, right, from just the map we just witnessed, and an exciting ending where they very well could have got first. It just depended on how that ring around the rosy around the shed would have ended up unfolding. Obviously, Zuko got the better edge over Jaguar in the end. 10 eliminations for Jaguar, though, on Vikendi, looking to repeat that process. Panthers, though, big dichotomy. They finished in 14th. No eliminations yesterday on Vikendi. But they're looking better today, Enigma. How do you think that battle's going to unfold?
Well, I'm just going with the Panthers. Thankfully, this last match has proved that they're able to have that trigger discipline and that mindset that I was questioning essentially those first two games of, they're getting into these certain positions, but are they able to execute and actually be able to come out on top in these sorts of gunfights and make the correct choices?
I have to see, right? I think Panthers been making a lot of great choices. I am really impressed with them. PB, I was questioning them at the beginning. Are they looking good? But, is that consistency? Is it going to pay off? Yeah, they're making it to the end, but they're not picking up the elims. But now I've got a lot of faith in the boys. And talk about poetic. Panthers versus a Jaguar. Who would win in real life? I don't know. But at least in map 3, it was Panthers. Well done from the Vikendi. An exciting, exciting map with toxic first stages, as you mentioned before. And you think we're going to have a shakeup at the top? Loops has been holding on tight. I mean, it seems like they're still consistent despite being more quiet today than they were yesterday, PB.
When we take a look at the top 8 teams in this tournament right now, you've got Loops holding the #1 spot right now with 0 chicken dinners. You also have Flamengo Esports popping off, going crazy on the elims, also with 0 chicken dinners. Everybody else has won at least one that's in the top 8. Execute's picked up a couple. And I'm curious if Flamengo or Loops can actually put together a chicken dinner. Hey, they might be in business here. I mean, Flamengo, 39 elims right now is good for 2nd overall in the whole lobby. So my eyes are on them, actually, to take this next map. Pretty weak on the placements, 11 overall right now on rank points. But man, if they could just string something together and maybe keep their team like all the way alive till the end, that's usually how you win in PUBG Mobile.
Sure.
I'm liking their chances to move up this leaderboard.
That's exactly how you win in PUBG Mobile. Flamingo from number 3 to lackluster finishes in game or map 2, map 3, and maybe not map 4. We'll see. Like I said, big fan of Flamingos. I think they're great, and then they really proved themselves in map 1. We'll see if they can do so here in map 4. But Enigma, I had a question for you because for me, PUBG Mobile is very new. It's a new experience, but I do have experience with other BR titles. When it comes to other BR titles, certain landing drops, they're owned by certain teams. Is that the case in PUBG Mobile? And does that normally or does that normally fit into the strategy of the teams? Like, for example, if you land center of the map, do you know who's coming from your right, left, center, front, whatever? And are you able to outplay them? What do you think?
Well, there's definitely the essence of outplaying. That's a lot of just research teams have to go into, which is why you play these sorts of scrims. You even just drop maps and stuff like that, where it's just, these teams drop here. If we get this sort of zone, they like taking this sort of spot. Now, essentially, if you're a center team, it does change up in tournaments. If this team to your left, let's say if you're Loops and you're playing center, if this is the Panthers or if this is Hyper, you might change your play style and stuff like that. People know that other teams like to be more aggressive than others. People like playing for zone more. It's all essentially just, are you able to recognize whether it's the kill feed, whether it's the cars they're using or stuff like that, or just how they're playing in general, how and when should you be making certain plays on the map?
Yeah, it's interesting you say the cars because I think Loops was using the green car color scheme yesterday. Yeah, Coffee pointed that out, so maybe you want to avoid them, and Coffee kind of brought that up. PB, how much does the plane path determine, though, where teams are going to be landing? Because, I mean, you can glide pretty far. You can pretty much choose anywhere you want to be on the map, but how much does the plane path influence where the teams go?
It could influence it quite substantially. Oftentimes, you'll see teams have to, instead of jump maybe for their drop location, they're going to jump for vehicles. And oftentimes, you're looking as a team when, your preferred drop spot is maybe in a corner of the map and the plane pass on the other side. Where your backups are, right? Some teams will choose a backup location entirely, like maybe, hey, I like to drop Zarky, but if the plane path's not there, I'm going to drop Novo, right? Sometimes they'll play that strategy, but oftentimes it's like, okay, if we're not near Zarky and that's where we like to go, I don't know who actually drops Zarky, but hey, assuming somebody does, you're looking for the roads, right, with those vehicles. You know where those spawns are. You're trying to grab those, group up, and maybe get to where is most comfortable and where you own that map.
Okay, never considered that. So, I'm learning as I go. PUBG Mobile is a very complex game. When you watch it, it seems simple. They're shooting at each other. Okay, whoever wins the fight, well, they're doing good, right? But there's a lot more that goes into it. A lot more that goes into to BRs in general. Loving the aggression, though, that I'm seeing come out from Latin America specifically, and really, really enjoying the pacing. But hey, there is something I do want to point out. Yesterday, at this point in time, going into map 4 and 5, we were transferring from North American host, which North American host over towards Latin American host server-wise. This time we are going from Latin American host over towards North American host. So game 4 and game 5 Enigma. North America might have the upper advantage. Granted, these competitors are used to the ping. This is how they do it in competitive play, regardless of PUBG Mobile. But you as a competitor, how much does that ping difference make for you?
Well, the main thing that you notice in ping is obviously, your hit registration. It could be a half second later and stuff like that. The main thing, though, is with this meta being the shotgun meta, if you peek out of an angle, you might not even be on their screen by the time they're knocking you. Thankfully,
Interesting.
for us, we are
Yeah.
on the NA server now. It's going to be reversed. Joey could be knocking Federal, and Federal doesn't even see him by the time he's taking damage. So it does
Mm,
play into effect, but PUBG Mobile does a great job of having fair ping and stuff like that in
true.
tournament rooms. So everyone's
Right.
around the same ping. It does not feel terrible at all. It feels actually
Yeah.
pretty good. Um, so it's actually, just one of the nicer things of the game is that even though you're designated to a server, they really try to accommodate for the competitive integrity.
They do a
Love
pretty good
that. Yeah,
job
no,
with that.
PUBG Mobile. Yeah, yeah, I think they have. I mean, I haven't noticed too many, crazy disadvantages from one ping to the other, aside from maybe like a misplaced grenade, but that could be human error. Okay, that might not even be ping altogether. But hey, we're heading into Vikendi. Map number 4. We're almost at the end of this. Okay, so chat, get loud for your favorite teams. Latin America, you've been loud in NA. Now it's time for you to get loud and show support for your boys over in NA. Let's see what they can do. Can't wait to get it started. Vikendi. Brazil, they played well here yesterday despite it not being in a competitive rotation. Let's see if they can play even better starting today. Map 4, Vikendi, PB, Enigma, take it over.
Let's go. I'm excited. Before you take it out of here, bring him back on. I got to get a pick, man. We didn't do no predictions. I threw mine out there. I went with Flamengos, but Taylor, you're not getting off the hook that easy, my guy. Who you picking?
From Zuko now, man. I loved Avatar, and I'm loving Zuko even more. I'm going Panthers. I think they're going to be all right. Let's bring them in. Let's see them get the victory and throw the fire into the pan.
I love it. I love it. Well, hey, I appreciate you coming back to bless us with your ultimate curse. We'll see if that actually turns out or not. We'll see. But Enigma, who you going with, my guy?
I got to go with Loops. They've been being a little lackluster today, but if there is a team that is able to turn on a dime and show up and show who's boss, it's definitely Loops.
Love it. All right, Flamengo, Loops, the Panthers. We'll see who is ultimately correct, or if it's none of us. But pretty friendly plane path right across the upper section of the map here, right through the middle. Got a lot of popular locations well within reach. Got Goroka empty, which is interesting. That's one of my favorite places to drop loot-wise on the map. Ultimately, Vihar, though, is probably my favorite. That and Movatra, and you see Loops landing in that area pretty much uncontested. Got Overnight in Dobromesto, and then big old pickle mess down south here. A lot of teams headed down to Dino Park, which is perfect timing for the dinosaur-themed update we've got coming here in PUBG Mobile. And there's that toxic zone out in the water once again in the northeast.
Yeah, I mean, we even can see it right now. Goroka and all that sort of center spot on the map is essentially free. Now, personally, I'm more of a king myself. I like going to the castle as my drop spot.
Nice.
But, that zone shift, even if you drop to that south side, I'm going to assume a lot of those teams are going to just instantly rotate north, try to get into the zone, because Vikendi, in my opinion, is very hard to play late game. It's all compound based. There's very rarely any sort of elevation play and stuff like that you can actually play, unless it's maybe for 1 or 2 players on your team. It's never like a full squad spot. And with it being such kill-based format, we're going to definitely see teams start, I think, getting to deep.
Absolutely. I feel like the Vikendi is really, really challenging to play, and I feel like the move is really kind of trying to get in that center of the zone early on, like second, third circle, start to make that play for circle, and hole up, get that compound, and then ultimately defend. Because trying to break in late is incredibly challenging. I don't know if I lost Enigma, but okay, perfect. So it is just me. I'm hearing from production. So I'll chat for a little bit. We got Loops and Card is in here again in Movatra looting up. They're looking decent so far, getting that loot squared away. 15 teams active in the lobby. No one taken down just yet. Looking for that action to pop off, though, as we saw yesterday. Crazy. Hey, we got you. I got you. I got that mic back. Hey, welcome back. There
now.
we go. Are we getting this Cosmodrome in circle? That's what I really want to know here. I love the finish at Cosmodrome because it's got the verticality. It's got like the underground, the tunnels, like the hiding spots there. You've even got a little bit of hillside on the outskirts there. So I love the Cosmo in circles. What do you think? We're going to get that here or not?
I'm a fan of the hangars in Cosmo. You know, they also have that little bit of underground play if you're wanting to be that little sewer rat, be a little Master Splinter action. Carrillo looking to maybe even set up a little trap play onto Execute. Six is going to be the first one out in that car that I was trying to mention earlier. Unfortunately, in a vehicle that essentially takes 10, 15 bullets to blow up. It is not a car that you want, and that is not. Sixless is going to be punch in the air, making a mistake like that. Somehow, I
should have parked further out.
Somehow lives, but I'd like to see Alpha 7 just get very aggressive on this. Try to get the knock and thirst before he gets the reset, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Sixus will get out by the skin of his teeth. And I wouldn't be surprised if this turns into a straight 4v4 fight. There weren't many teams on this north side. They were mostly south side, south of even Goroka, your favorite drop spot. So I think Carrillo and Alpha 7 are just going to be looking to take this fight on.
You know, Sixless is stranded here. I think they're making the right play right now. I wouldn't actually commit to this if they're Execute because, again, they have lines of sight and they have hard cover. And really, Alpha 7 doesn't have any ability to do much here. So I like the fact that he was able to make it to the water through their cover. Come up here for a little bit of air and hopefully regroup here. So, hey, and they get the knock on Carrillo. Casper, nice shots there with the G36. A7 perhaps biting off a bit more than they could chew. Sixless getting caught early, but able to Houdini his way out of there for the time being.
Yeah, something that most players don't do is when they're swimming underwater, they are actually afraid to take damage from drowning, and Sixless choosing actually to take those few little ticks of him being underwater for too long instead of going up for air, because if you're showing yourself in the head, Alpha 7's the type of team that can hit that while you're in the water. So good play from Sixless being able to stay under the water, and Casper, I believe, actually getting the beam onto the Alpha 7 players, so Sixless will be able to make it out, thankfully, for his team, from what I'd assume. But INF fighting the Panthers in a two-story building. I'm not sure how this is going to go. It looks like there's a lot of nades, DBS, and SMGs getting pulled out. Looks like just Nate here in the compound. I'm not sure where his teammate is at. He's dropping down in a 1v3 situation. I hear it going on. Quan trying to give some sort of support, but not getting the angles.
Nate's clutch, man. He can do this, but I don't like the fact that he doesn't have a DBS.
Yeah, but Kayowski getting caught out by Quan. Really nice play, but Nate pushing in, losing the 1v1.
Ooh,
and Quan
hey,
just getting...
have a seat.
Yeah.
Sheesh.
Back to the lobby with that one, I guess. You know, INF, luckily, only losing one,
oh,
but I mean,
look
FLAMENGO!
It's FLAMENGO with a full squad of DBSs. Watch out. It's on now. Influence Chemin in trouble.
Yeah, the key thing to note here, too, is that they did get the reset off onto the INF player. So when they did pull up and shoot through it, they got the re-knock. Now, unfortunately, I don't think they picked up the third kill onto INF. That was outside that the Panthers knocked, but still good of them to be able to get that extra, at least one extra kill credit. When it
Heads
could
up
have
play
possibly
here
just
from
been the one.
FLAMENGO crashing that. That was smart early on to see that action and see just a big mess of knocks there doing the math, and they decided to crash that, and it paid dividends for them.
And I must be colorblind, PB, because it looks like the zone must be on the south side towards Castle, because we have no one almost in this north side of the zone. I'm not sure what teams are thinking, but look at this. This east side and Hyper, Jaguar, and AT7, all are basically just fighting 3,000-4,000 meters maybe even in the zone.
When we get a chance, I'd love to go up and see Execute and Sixless. They're back into it right now with A7. That fight continuing to drag on and on and on and on. And it looks like it's going back and forth up there. But we also have AT here. It's ATON and Jaguar getting into it. Things are popping off all over the place. And again, only stage 2 here on Vikendi, and we're seeing more of the same from yesterday. Lots of fights early, people taking advantage of players that they're finding out of position, and it looks like INCO and the Chosen are getting into it as well. Anyang busting out the DPS, so really, really hot action right now. Look at all the elims in the scoreboard over there. 4, 3, 3, 2, 2. I mean, there's stuff popping off right now.
Yeah, and it's looking like a Christmas tree. I mean, a lot of the players are showing red, going to black, and then either turning white and whatnot, getting finished, or just revived. And Hyper taking this fight in Hot Springs of all places. You know, I usually like to relax when I'm here, but you know, Kiss, first one in. They already lost Zfon, I believe, on rotate. Forced to take this fight up a stairwell against what I'd assume would be a DPS or a DBS. Definitely not something you'd want to do, but Kings, I'm assuming,
just picked off ATON over somewhere else, so it looks like they're fighting the same squad, but kind of in a split fashion there. It's like they're happy to rotate at this point, taking a few, and it looks like YKG taking on Overnight here and getting the finish. So YKG getting a little of that momentum going. That's what they need. 4 points now for them. Full squad, and really didn't take any damage there either, and execute. And, oh man, look at this. They have each wiped 3 of each other's players. So A7 and Execute really just decided, you know what? You're not going to go any further than we are. Let's just have this knockdown, drag-out fight right here, right now. And so they're neither team choosing to disengage. Just a lot of stubbornness out on the battlegrounds right now.
Yeah, I'd like to say a lot of this was from AGG, but it appears that AGG has yet to pick up any of the kills from essentially 8 players that could have possibly been kills from them. They do get the last player on Alpha 7, making them go out in 12th with 3 kills. But Execute just having the one solo player. I wonder if AGG knows where he's actually at to possibly try to at least scrap together 2 kill points for this map.
How does that feel if you're Alpha 7 and you set up a trap like that to catch somebody on rotate and you catch them and it turns into this 20-minute fight where you ultimately end up getting wiped and only pick up a few points? I mean, that's got to be a little demoralizing.
I think the main thing is just the individual that was shooting 6s when he crashes the car. You know, you've got to hit those shots. He even jumped out a few seconds late trying to back up the car before he got headshotted. So that person, you know, is just, he's going to be sitting there thinking of it. It depends, you know, if the players on his team are, you know, chewing him out, or if they know, you know, hey, like he's already beating himself up. Definitely interested to see how they come into the next map. You know, they have performed pretty decently overall on the day, only playing for just today, I believe. So would like to see this, but Trick and what essentially is going to be a 1v4 against a DBS spam. 2 of them, a little bit of caboosing on Jaguar. Mercy just absolutely forcing this fight. Still low from the nade. Trick pulled, trying to stall this out, get himself into 1v1 positions, but Jaguar's playing it slow. They're going to wait for the rest of their team to pull up. Not going to get overzealous, overdo it, and he might get ran over! The pull-up. I'd like to see the Thirst come out, or if he's feeling the 1v3, gets into the 1v1.
Man, that was so close.
Almost got I would have liked to see him really just go for the kill credit. Luckily for Jaguar, they didn't lose Victex. Sabin, you know, pulling up pretty late, actually. I actually thought they were almost a 3-man for how late they were being. But thankfully to them for, you know, they pick up a kill credit. They get the cars. They get all that sort of stuff. They don't lose a player. And they're able to go into this next zone with a full 4-man.
Absolutely. Now, INCO into it with YKG trading a little bit right now. YKG losing 1, but INCO also losing 1 and getting a finish. YKG getting another drop. So this is like a really spread out fight right now. And I'm curious to see if Flamengo hops in. They do. They take out 24K from range. Now it's up to Joey off on that off angle here. Really interesting fights developing at range in close quarters. I mean, you saw that car just roll up with Jaguar there on Execute. I think he was setting up some better sight lines, but that car had to surprise him, just zooming in at like 60 miles an hour, crashing on him.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something you like seeing, is someone going full speed right at you. You got to hit the read, you know. Are you going left or right? Are you going to try to prone under it? Luckily, he chose right and got the knock, but unfortunately couldn't get the kill credit. Now, if I'm Becker here, I mean, I am just proning under the window, to be honest. Flamengo just hawking you through the windows and all that sort of stuff. They already picked up the kill credit onto YKG. I'm not sure if they know that it's INCO here, and if they are a 3-man. Would like to see a possible knock come through and some aggression go out.
Absolutely. Gigante on the off angle once again. These guys have been putting out a lot of pressure. Again, teams like YKG and INCO really kind of at the mercy of Flamengo right now, holding that that angle and sub pig, man. How is he alive?
You know, he was feeling it from that Sanhok match, I think, just taking this 1v1 in the open. DBS, I don't think is the best at that range. Just,
oh, man.
I mean, I'm
well,
fine
I mean, is it
taking the
not?
1v1
Throw the
there.
4x on that sucker, man. The DBS is fine from that range. What are you talking about?
Yeah, maybe even the 6x at that point, but, you know, TC down to just a solo. I'm surprised he didn't get any support from his teammate. Just decided to take the 1v1. They're still able to hopefully, you know, scrap together a few extra points for this map. Try to move up in the leaderboard a little bit.
An Ying's going to try the same thing as his boy Sepig just a moment ago. He's using that tree for cover. GK first spots him out. Now he's going to have to win a gunfight. And he does not get a shot off. GK first wiping the Chosen off the map. The Chosen still struggling in this one. I don't believe they are out of that last spot just yet. 3 points here in game number 4. But the lights are starting to dim for the Chosen.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, you're just wanting to get that final game in. That's going to be, you know, a good game. You want to have a good performance, move up, show and represent that, you know, your team is able to perform at this level. Now, I mean, only time will tell with that, but YKG essentially just got slammed by Flamengo. You know, you'd noted that 24 had been picked off from across the river, just the two of them, but Chico in essentially a 1v1. I'm not sure how he got into this position, but oh my goodness, it's one tap. You're going for the little jump play, trying to snag his arm going up, and Joey trying to Jaguar slamming Dope Slayers now. One knocked on Jaguars. Hopefully is able to pull through this DBS play. These walls are absolutely atrocious to try to fight on.
That was a close nade there from Bray. He almost snuck that over the wall. He is going to leave him here and go for the finish and connects with the nade, but doesn't get enough to get that elim.
Yeah,
Ray V is
trying
to win this fight.
Hearing that DBS go off is just not something you want to hear. Joe is going for the play, and oh my goodness, the read with the nade on the outside of the wall gets the kill on a Nesquik, wiping Dope Slayers. Jaguar is definitely happy with that. Again, not losing a single player on this squad wipe they're taking, or the squad fight they're taking.
Jaguars trying to build that momentum. 7 elims. I think them and Flamengo right now are the teams to watch. Really only 3 teams still at full strength with All Glory Gaming. But again, All Glory Gaming has been fairly quiet today. They've gotten into some fights, but the ones that where they have gotten aggressive, it hasn't really gone their way as they drove into the middle of a circle and just put the guns out to their side and spun in circles, I felt like. But for the most part here, they're trying to get something going, and Jaguars got to be on the move here as well.
There's got to be a caster's curse again for Loops. Just, they're down to 1 player. They're needing another, hopefully a Miramar performance at best with a few points, because Jaguar and all these other teams that have been fragging today are fragging in this lobby. They are starting to make that gap, and I think Loops might be dropping out of first in this match.
Maybe so, but we'll see what Chief has to say about it. He's up this time for the clutch. We'll see if he can get it done. Jaguar going up against All Glory here. And it's going to be a fight to the death. These guys are going to take it all the way to the finish, it looks like.
AGG full slamming the compound. Seba's actually isolated out in this building. They did lose 1 on that shack slam. They're needing to make a play on a Seba. Try to even this fight up again, but this util usage from Seba is just way too strong. Jaguars, I think, going to be able to get the reset off. Just did. Hopefully get the heal off, and then help their teammate. And Seba actually getting a knock on Strap. I'm not sure how Strap is allowing that to happen. And now his teammate actually just sending it down the cliff. Going to be taking this 2v1 now, 3v1. They know he's on the first floor.
Really impressive here from Seba. He's basically jab stepping, keeping them from reviving. And you see him pull off a couple of times. That was just brilliantly done, holding that compound, getting the grenade knocks, and now All Glory Gaming, just like that, a position of strength, the back to the lobby, and Jaguar is rolling 11 elims. Watch out, the train has run away.
Yeah, and I mean, if we're looking at the teams on the lobby, Flamengo is the only team with the full 4-man. INCO getting knocked by them, actually. So Jaguar in a position right now to where if they're able to even kill 1, maybe 2 players of Flamengo, they find out where they're at, this is a win for them.
I think it's down to these 2 teams right now, Jaguar and Flamengo, man. They're both looking super strong, and just like that, ATON is out as well. So we're into the top 5. Loop somehow, some way, just continues to find these top 5 placements with minimal players alive. And I mean, it's super impressive that they're able to do this, because consistently over the last 7 or 8 games, they have been down 1 to 3 members and somehow, some way found themselves on the top of the leaderboards, almost. Not quite getting the chicken dinner, but they're getting seconds and thirds just consistently.
Yeah, but unless he's pulling a Zuko, hitting a 1v2 for the win, and you're not thinking, I think Jaguar is going to be able to sum up possibly on this win. Because even if he gets, 7 or 8 points, we're looking at Jaguar right now. They've got 12, and it's only going to go up from here, I think.
Absolutely. It looks like Flamengo here getting ready to move out. We got that colorful Dacia. They're getting ready to Austin Powers the sucker right out of here. Maybe they give up. I don't know.
Might need to have someone else drive it. Take his license away.
That's right. Send him back to school.
Maybe he doesn't have the chains on the car. Who knows? But, I mean, the zone's shifting right now. And Hyper, only team on this west side of the bridge, and they essentially get the shift towards them. INCO going to essentially, I think, get slammed by one of these 2 Eastern teams. Now, the key point right here I'm going to make is Hyper. A duo right now on this west side, but Flamingo and Jaguar outside of zone, essentially right next to each other. I could see them fighting and pulling a TP and Luke's game from the Miramar.
I agree. Loops is trying to get this 1v4. Not able to do it. Jaguar in a bit of trouble, though. That's going to really stunt their rotation because, again, they don't have a lot of time here to pull it together. 47 seconds here before that timer turns red. Flamengo knows they're there, and they have angles. The interesting thing is at Flamengo's backside, really, we got INCO in the compound. They're going to be like trying to get some sightlines on the roof here, and then the last team is across the river. They've got Hyper, who really, with a duo, probably isn't trying to make a ton of noise here. This is going to be really interesting to see if Flamengo takes on Jaguar here. And they try, and ultimately they lead with a big fail here. Gigante getting taken out easily by Seba.
He definitely overheated there with that sort of driving. I'm not sure what the idea was there. You know that's the team you need to take out. They had 2 knocks on them at the shack. They're pinned down. I would have liked to see Flamengo actually just make the rotate in the zone and play for this late game. Let INCO deal with gatekeeping. But unfortunately, they got a little too overzealous. They actually get 1 player up, thankfully, onto Flamengo's. So they're able to actually pull through and possibly keep this in a win position for them.
Yeah, I felt like with Flamengo, I wouldn't have faulted them for staying and holding the position and like gatekeeping essentially, but to send it, deep into the blue, basically. That was kind of an interesting call, and here we've got the circle closing at this point. Rotations coming around, and now it's on. They're taking on INCO. Toiko trying to chase down these Elems, and we've got Becker from up the way. Great mollies here that's really putting people into a kill box, and we'll see if INCO can capitalize on this position.
Yeah, I think Flamengo made a really good read here. They're like, okay, well, Jaguar is getting pressured. They're going to have to be off the compound, so they opt to just slam into it while they're outside of it, taking the building. You're wanting this sort of position, but as I say that, Vitally getting a double knock with the nade. I'm not sure how they're stacked like that. Books in a 1v3 situation, I believe, gets one, trying to prime some nades out, but it's the UMP versus the DBS. He's going to actually just try to stick this revive. I'm liking this play. Get some damage off onto the INCO member that's knocked, I believe. 1 HP. They're both actually forced to do it. I'd like to see some sort of window play going. And he's TPPing and he's going for it. Oh, and he gets absolutely mapped out. Gets the thirst at least, but that is without consequences. INCO winning that fight. Becker with a total of 5 kills with him and Squash as the duo. Jaguar, though, they opted to go down into the river. We're down to essentially, I think it's a 2v2v2 right now with Hyper holding this west side. They have the best position in zone, I think, with Jaguar playing down in the river, which is not something I'd want to be playing, to be honest with you. And INCO just recovering from the fight, resetting, trying to get themselves in a fighting stance.
Well, the zone has shifted towards Hyper. It's gone all the way back across that river. The river's in play, but INCO going to have to move out. And Hyper, I'm guessing, is going to try to make it difficult on them. You see GK kind of hanging out on the top there. And Jaguars really kind of built a little bit of a stronghold down there in that river. And we'll see how that pans out for them. Hopefully they can stay out of sight and have these guys on the high ground have to battle it out here. But again, a long way to go for Jaguar to get in the circle. You can see their second member pretty far away, and that might make them, they might be forced to fight INCO here as they go to rotate.
Yeah, Saba, I think he had on the back of that boat that's frozen in the river, I think he had a Dacia set up. The question is he's going to be able to drive on this frozen water and get into a spot? Because we see GK and Ren holding spots where you'd essentially want to take if you're Saba. You don't want to slam on Joas. You don't want to double stack on the edge of zone. You want to try to have, since you're the edge, you're going to have Joas going. And since he's in, you're going to have him try to watch you and get further into the zone for you to have an actual competitive spot to be able to win this game. So good play on NHyper to actually take these sort of spots and prevent that from happening, with INCO now being forced to make some sort of rotate and fight on the Jaguar.
Yeah, definitely great positioning here from them, and they did a good job staying on this side of the river and not overcommitting, and the zone did come back to them, gave them that favor, and you can see Saba is taken out by INCO, forced to take that fight, doesn't pan out for him, and now INCO rolling on some momentum here, headed into this final stage 7 zone, and the rotations are coming. Here comes Ren sending it. He makes it across, but is he going to be able to get to safety here? He's got just a few hit points left. GK trying to provide cover, and Squash trying to get those grenades up the hill. Great cover there from GK. Forces Becker down, and Johis gets the finish here. And we're down to 2.
And they're wiped with that. It's just the 2. I mean, GK is definitely going to be doubling up with the Ren, trying to play this trade angle, and I'd like to see Johis just try to force this angle onto Ren.
Now's the
try
time.
to take this 1v1, and it looks like he's going for it. He's against a DBS versus DBS on the rocks. Ren's trying to bait him to peek out, just get some sort of damage off from GK. Oh, and he's going for the switch up.
Nice
Gets
shot.
the headshot. Oh, but Ren hitting an absolute slug of a round into him, leaving him at 1 HP. It's essentially a 1v1. Trying to go for an outplay here with the flash. Most people don't use those utility-wise.
Let's get the heal. You know, if I'm Rin here, I'm probably backing off this fight to just, I mean, look at the zone.
Yep. And I think if he takes, if he takes damage, he's going to try to just fall back, force his teammate to just take the fight when he peeks over, and hopefully, not miss his shots.
Where were the shots there from GK? He ran all the way over, exposed his whole body, and apparently the timing was just a bit off. But yeah, Rin has the ability to back off a bit. He's gatekeeping. He's got the close range angle locked down. And really, it's up to GK here. He needs to just kind of play a little coy, not hang himself out, because if GK gets knocked, this is a whole different fight at this point, because Johis has to get to zone in addition to go 1v2. This is a crazy fight for him.
I would have liked to see Johis try to take this 1v1 more right on top of him and then go for the bait flame from GK. But, unfortunately, he learned from the fight earlier. But Ren just taking the fight, gets knocked, goes for the thirst. I think he's just going to die to ring. At least he gets 1 point there. Jaguar only gets 10, but NHyper winning the match.
I like the end game play there from Jaguar. They picked up an extra point, kept one away from NHyper. Ultimately, didn't get the chicken dinner, but I thought that was heads up play right there. And NHyper probably could have fallen back, avoided losing that elim there, picked up another one of their own, assuming he actually tried to get to zone. But ultimately, hey, really exciting match. I saw Flamengo actually pop off. Finally, one of my picks doesn't just lay a freaking dud of a game, so that was amazing. And then Jaguar, incredible game from them. While not getting the chicken dinner, you love to see that second place overall from the #1 team out of Mexico. So again, would love to hear what you thought on the desk. Reflections, incredible game from my perspective, though.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of exciting high octane moments, but Jaguar from game number 3 to game 4. I mean, wonderful job and a tremendous come up as far as I'm concerned in terms of the points. Jaguar, despite, like you said, not getting the chicken dinner, they're still a team that I think got the most points out of that game, or if not the most points, at least close to it because of the eliminations they were able to get. NHyper, though, Enigma, you being a competitive player yourself in the past, did they play that 2v1 correctly? I felt like maybe they could have been a bit more aggressive. The passiveness, though, was justified because, of course, Jaguar had to push into zone. So, that's one of those things. But NHyper, do you think they should have pushed it a bit further, backed off a little bit more, or do you think they did the right thing?
I think they played it perfect. The only sketchy moment they had was the first 1v1 that was taken from Rin was when he had pushed over Joas actually hadn't pushed up close to the ridge, and he had actually swapped to an M4 and gotten the headshot on GK. So if GK had actually been over peaking for maybe an extra second or two longer, that would have been a knock and resulted in a 1v1. No damage done with DBS versus DBS. So, and Hyper, other than that, they played it perfect. Ren obviously, lost the 1v1, but you're wanting to go for that kill credit. You don't want to give it up. You're wanting to put yourself in a competitive spot. And with getting that kill, you get the win and you're shooting yourself up the leaderboard, because for the last few games, Hyper has yet to do much overall in terms of points, kills, all that sort of stuff. They've been getting picked off, so it's really nice seeing that sort of change go on a map such as Vikendi.
Just saw Flamingo winning a nice fight inside one of the houses, and I'm sure we'll see a clip from them a little bit later, PB. There was a moment where Flamingo was fighting against INCO, and INCO, it was a tense moment because there was a revive up the stairs. INCO was also going for a revive themselves outside the window. Flamingo makes a push out, and then one guy, whoever made the push out the window, just absolutely gets bodied. There was a chance that Flamingo, could have played a little bit more passively and went for the revive on their third teammate. That would have brought it a 3v2, but instead they tried to take initiative, go out the window, and get the elimination. You think that was the right play, or was it just a heat of the moment, kind of like, all right, this is what we need to do, and they just kind of went for it?
What's funny is I actually thought that was what was happening. I thought they were picking up. I thought he was going to revive the one guy who was going to then revive the third teammate while he got back into the fight. And to see that not get picked up, I wonder if it was just a timing thing. Here we actually are seeing it in the house right now. This was the moment. I didn't hate the play here. It didn't work out for them. I thought, it's one of those things you can look at hindsight 2020. He just missed the shots and ultimately got bodied by the INCO player, as you mentioned. Incredible defense from INCO and, less good offense from Toyko there up top.
Yeah, because it wasn't, I don't hate the play either. Hopping out the window, where he's at, he's going for the revive. Maybe he's focused on the revive in the front door as opposed to the window. You get that elimination, you still get the 2 revives, but he risked it all when he could have just, kind of taken his time. And this was the final moments anyways from the Jaguar as well as the Hyper fights. And that was that 1v1 you mentioned. Good on him, by the way, for getting that, at least getting that elimination. He knows he's not getting back in his zone, but that's okay because he still get that point. We look at the match rankings and Enigma. Again, points-wise, Team Jaguar was the true winner here, despite Hyper getting the chicken dinner.
Yeah, I mean,
Absolutely.
17 eliminations are just, you cannot ignore the fact that Jaguar is absolutely slaying the lobby. INCO Gaming, of course, as well, dropping 10 kills themselves, getting that 3rd place finish. But, I mean, it's nice for Hyper. It's good for their motivation and their confidence in themselves to be able to get that sort of win, even though they have been performing too well over the last day.
And this is where I was disappointed, PB. Not only because I predicted Panthers to curse, but Panthers goes from winning an outstanding performance on Sanhok to then dead last on Vikendi. What happened?
They got caught, man. They did. It just didn't go their way. You saw, I believe it was Quan heading across the street, and he was going to go play the hero. And ultimately, his head got rolled off of his shoulders, man. That DBS peeking out. Woo-wee, that was absolutely crazy. But check it out. New leader. We got a new leader in the clubhouse off the strength of that last performance. Jaguar vaults into the lead. Look at the elims, Taylor. 54 overall. That leads everyone. And that's got him on top of the tables.
Well, you caught it best, PB. You said, I think after map 2, you were like, look, a 26-point game. That can quickly set you up the ranks, especially if our 2nd, 3rd, 4th ranked teams don't have a good game. Jaguar, off of what, 26 points in that last game? Now at to 88, 54 elims. Jaguar's a team Enigma that we've been talking about here and there, but they haven't been the main storyline. That's been Loops. That's been Execute. That's been, even A7 coming in today, even though they've been a bit quiet. But Jaguar now, they take the front center stage. Right now, they could be the champions of the Scrims.
Well, everyone likes an underdog story. Everyone's got their eggs in the basket for Loops, but, you might need to be grabbing it and changing it to Jaguars. After those last few maps and performances, they're here to play. They're not messing around.
They're not messing around at all, and Jaguars, man, representing Latin America well. We're going to take our final break, but we got one more game still to go. We're heading back to Erangel. You don't want to miss out. When we come back, map 5 coming your way. And welcome back, everybody, to day 2 of the Titan Series America Scrims. It all comes down to this. Map number 5, we head back to the OG Erangel, and it's going to be a fun time. I'm Taylor Reflections, Double, your host, joined by the wonderful casters, PB and Enigma, who's been crushing it all day today. Map 5, though, right? The competitors, they know this is it. It's Scrims. It's been all for fun, but we've been making it a bit more, enticing, given the viewership from you great fans out there, but also the commentary. So, PB, Game 5, Jaguar in first place. Okay, can they hold on?
It's going to be a tough one. We've got 4 teams right now that have really kind of stood out today. That's FLAMENGO, Esports, Influence, Chemin, Loops, and Jaguar. Execute still hanging around with 58 points overall, but Execute has done nothing today. They've climbed by maybe like 8 points overall. Let's take a peek at those rankings here and see exactly what we're talking about. Execute's really just kind of been holding strong at 5th place, and they're continuing to drop. So those top 4 teams are who I'm looking at personally, and it's about time that either Loops or FLAMENGO gets that chicken dinner. Can either one of those teams pull it off here in this last game?
You would think so. I mean, they've been so close on that knife's edge, and they just cannot get over the hump. Loops has to get a victory. Loops didn't. I don't think they won yesterday, but they've been there. They've been so close today. They've been, close. They've been hit or miss, but they've been living somehow, some way, despite only having one player on the map. It's truly spectacular. Enigma, Loops, if they can get a victory here, a chicken dinner, maybe they can finish off on top.
Yeah, I mean, the points are still close. It's a matter of, if Loops does win, does Jaguar frag out? But my money's on Jaguar. I'm wanting them to be the white knight that slays the dragon. That is Loops. So only time will tell.
Jaguar fan coming out, I see. At the beginning of the day, who were you supporting? Was it Loops? I think you were saying Loops is the best team.
I was saying Loops was, in my opinion, the best team overall. But obviously I have NA bias as well. I like YKG. They have a lot of gunners and stuff like that. A lot of new talent, which you like seeing. Along with NHyper, a standalone team that's been in the scene for years.
I think it's just been fun in general watching these scrims, PB. I mean, we've had the fill-ins come in. Storm Gaming yesterday was performing really well. Execute's been that fill-in. They've been tearing it up and, coming into the conversation. Now Jaguar's been there. Panthers came out of nowhere, right, with Yuko. Anyways, but, dominated the competition. I'm liking what I'm seeing. It's now comes down to this, like I said, map 5, and it's going to be a fun time. It was Influence Chemin, who we haven't seen really for quite some time now, who won map 1. Can they win map 5? Well, of course, the competitors, they're going to decide it for themselves. So let's get into it. Map 5, PB, Enigma, take it away.
Thank you so much, Reflections. It's an interesting one as I look at the leaderboards again. Jaguar, I think, may have solidified themselves. As long as they play well this game, get some elims, it's going to be a tough task for any other team to overcome them. They've got a 13-point lead heading into the final game. To put that in context, that's a chicken dinner and 3 elims difference from every other team right now. And when you look at the rank points that have been accumulated by others in the top 4, if you look at Influence Chemin, you look at FLAMENGO Esports, 19 and 15 rank points. That through, 9 games so far is not great. That's less than 2 rank points, so they're not hitting the top 6 on the regular. They're just fragging out. Whereas Loops, somehow, some way, they've gotten 37 elims with 1 or 2 players left alive, making it to, 2nd or 3rd place. Fun fact, Loops came into the day with 27 rank points over 5 games. That means they were averaging like 2nd place every game, being shorthanded. So again, my money's on Jaguar at this point, but I'm rooting for a Loops or a FLAMENGO to get that chicken dinner and clutch one out here in dramatic fashion.
Yeah, I'm wanting Jaguar to pull through. Now, unfortunately, this isn't tournament play. This isn't where, if you finish first, you're qualifying for the world stage tournament where you're playing on land. So I don't think we're going to be seeing any sort of teams drop on Jaguar trying to take that 4v4, such as if Loops was trying to fight for a position like a land spot, they'd maybe just take that 4v4 and chance, hey, we're playing for the win. We got to take this team out.
Look at this circle. Look at this circle.
And this is what you wanted on the first map.
This is what we got, baby. We got the Millie zone, and Loops is down there early. So one of the things we saw yesterday with the Millie circle that popped up, you saw YKG head across immediately. It helped them get the victory in this last game. We'll see if they make a similar decision here to forego the loot at Primorsk and Ferry Pier and just get across the bridge. They did that along with NHyper early on in yesterday's game, and it paid dividends for them. So we'll see if they do a similar thing here as the zone is almost identical.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many teams are going to opt to take the boat strap. My personal favorite rotate back when I had played, we would drop here at Lipovka and make a boat rotation. But Trick,
Oh,
being the rat in the grass,
dude,
catching out
they haven't let it
Mafioso.
go. Last game, Vikendi, these guys were into it off the drop as well, and it's not over yet. They're gonna get into it. It's A7 versus Execute, part 2.
Definitely a part 2 with that fashion, but I'm not sure if Trick's going to be able to get more than just one here. Revo, I'd like to see him not take the 1v1, but it is the last game. He might just say, you know, I'm feeling it. I'm going for this. But as I say that, Xanatexa pulls up as well with Revo and almost gets capped. Luckily, he's blessed with the level 3 helmet off drop. Revo not being able to catch the 2 shots into his head to knock him as it usually would be.
Oh,
Oh, man. He's going
the
for it,
nades
you know.
coming in from downtown.
personally-
Both of them, you can see them pop up just throwing from distance here. Look at them.
I personally wouldn't have thrown that, but you know, Revo trying to go for some sort of flash play. You do see though another execute player coming up the coastline, Casper, trying to help Trick, maybe even just prone on the water side, bait his teammate into getting slammed in that garage building and going for the shots when they push outside.
Absolutely. Another thing that we missed because we were on this fight is In Hyper and YKG both down a member. I'm wondering if they did indeed try to rotate early and ran into each other once again. A repeat of yesterday potentially, but both down a member as we continue to watch this Execute fight with Alpha 7. Now I'm sitting here kicking myself why I said part 2 in French of all things when we got the freaking Spanish audience in the house. Could have said de nuevo parte dos. I don't know, but we went with French and I'm an idiot. So, you know, here we are.
You know, it's always mistakes, PB. But I mean, it is what it is. Everyone understands what we're talking about, but I mean, if I'm Execute, I'm still playing this very careful. Alpha 7 is the team that can start hitting 2 pieces, 3 pieces. Execute, I'm not really liking these spots that Sixless is in, but Casper finding a play. This is the player I was talking about, coming up along the coastline, baiting his teammates on the outside, leaving it into a 2v4 situation for Alpha 7's Revo catching one on Ferry. Oh man. Gets the return trade, insta-thirst by Sixless. They're going for a reset. I'd like to see Casper move down the coastline a little bit more. And Trick, they're going to allow him to get the reset, but the reset does not matter too much on Carrillo if he's 1 HP. Ferry getting caught out. Oh no, he doesn't. He stays alive, and Trick getting both players, I think. A7 wiped out. No kills whatsoever. You got to be questioning, you know, what happened with the drop. Where are you seeing parachutes? Because the main thing on drop is as soon as parachutes are pulled, you're looking around seeing if anyone's contesting you. So I'm not sure how Alpha 7 thought that this Lipovka drop was clear, but Execute coming out on top with 4 kills.
I was just going to say the same thing. Lipovka, of all places, to have a hot drop. Wasn't expecting to see it, but here we have Jaguar and Loops potentially squaring off. But, you know, Execute getting the last laugh. You know, I guess it's fitting being on their home server and whatnot. But you love to see it, man. Get a little momentum going for Execute. And I was just kind of commenting on the guns in that fight. You saw a Scorpion, you saw a UMP, you saw a Bazone, you saw a double pump or a double barrel shotgun. I'm like, dude, what is happening right now? Just grabbing whatever you can in Lipovka, trying to make it work. And ultimately for Alpha 7, it didn't work. And they're back to the lobby. Again, I really appreciate everyone from Alpha 7, not only the fans, but also the players showing up, participating in the scrims. Super awesome to have you. And hopefully we can do some stuff in the future as well. But that being said, it is time to focus back on the rest of the lobby because Jaguar needing just a few elims here to potentially put themselves in that clinching position. They're getting into it. Already 1 point to their name. They've taken away 1 from Loops, and they're looking for more.
Yeah, the one player you're wanting, or the one team you're wanting to make sure you're paying attention to in the kill feed is Loops, and actually getting the kill on them in that sort of situation, you know, hey, this might be a 4v4 fight we can take now, 4v3 fight we could take from Jaguars to that sort of position, but Jaguar actually opting, and Mythic hitting some insane M16 single taps, getting the trade knock, getting the thirst, not getting knocked himself. Good plays from him, and Loops evening us up to a 3v3.
Good angles there from Victex, able to put down that suppressing fire, help his team out a little bit. Unfortunately, just a little bit too late, but Mythic, really nice single taps there. And Yohis is going to try to do the same thing in return, just a few seconds late himself, but Loop's probably eager to get out of this fight for the moment because they know They're trying to play from their heels right now, and oh, here is the early. Is this where they got caught?
Yeah, this is, I think, at the start. It doesn't look like Zfon has any guns, so it must have been at the start of the game rotating. And
Early bridge camp.
Chico essentially getting caught out in the same way as well. But we are seeing INCO fighting, I believe it's Flamingos rotating on the bridge, doesn't get any knocks, but oh my goodness, absolutely tumbling the car. I respect. Maybe take his license, but
That's fine.
Flamingo might actually take this fight here. They did cross the bridge safely, so they might just say, screw it, we're going to play positioning. It looks like that's what they're going to do. But the one thing to know, I'd like to say, from that Loops and Jaguar fight is that Loops, even though they're down a player, they're playing aggressive. Jaguar looked like they were actually running away from Loops on the buggy in that, man position advantage. So I'm really interested to see what happened there with their sort of comms, if they could have possibly just taken the fight with Loops. But Loops, good aggro from them. We talk about it so much. They're the type of team that is fine playing with 3 players. They do not mind playing as a man disadvantage, and they're able to frag.
Excited to see them pull this off. I mean, if they are going to pull it off, they're going to have to earn it, though. And I'm curious to see if they can keep all 3 players alive at this point. Would have loved to have seen them fight that with Jaguar, knowing that that was the team they had to take out. But ultimately, they just didn't have the position to take advantage much. They were able to get one and get the flush, which is actually super good, I think, given the position they were in, especially where that fight started. So I think they're happy to get out of there with one. Curiously enough, though, looking at that map, Jaguar has gone to the far south of the island. No one's going to be sneaking up on them. And so that'll be an interesting thing to keep their eyes on. I think at this point, if you're Jaguar, you just got to stay alive to the late game. Take the elims when they're presented to you, but they don't have to do too much. They just don't want to go out with nothing here and let Loops continue to climb the leaderboard.
Yeah, just make sure you're pulling out something in this fight. But Gigante getting cut out by QZZ, not able to get the knock. This is so bad for NHyper. They're getting absolutely swarmed by cars. It's an absolute mayhem with smokes and everything. Ren getting knocked by the DBS of all guns. They are just all surrounded them. QZ and I think a 1v3 situation out. Nope, 2v3 situation. Getting the knock on the Gigante on the side. Fox trying to force that read trade, gets it. It's in a 1-on-2 situation, but one being 1 HP.
He's got that nade, though. Let's see if he uses it.
Yeah, but we're seeing Ren walk forward. He's trying to ping spam. I'd like to see QZ shoot earlier. Does get it, gets the thirst immediately, and he hasn't seen the teammate. Oh my goodness.
QZC's a beast, dude. Honestly, the individual talent on NHyper is super impressive. Like, these guys are ballers, man. If they could just, like, figure out that togetherness that we just haven't seen from them this particular tournament. I have seen flashes of it elsewhere, though.
Oh,
they have it.
my goodness.
Look at the nade, though, from Toiko, Flamengo, coming from the depths to pull it out, and they will fight on. I thought they might be done, and nope, they're still kicking.
Yeah, with that, I mean, they didn't thirst that one last players of Flamengo, so they were able to calm, hey, he's reviving back in the smoke. I'm going to give you a rough mark. And at that point, it's just if Toiko hits the nade or not, which he did. Thankfully, squad wiping NHyper, unfortunately, they only go out with 2 kills, but big win for Flamengos, which was looking like a downward hill fight from him.
Really was. You could see Jaguar in the kill feed as well, popping off against the Panthers. Looks like the Panthers lose another, and that's another point for Jaguar. So again, playing keep away here with that lead from Loops. Loops has chipped away on a couple of points. Jaguar down a man at this point, but still 11 points now difference between Loops and Jaguar. They're trying to make it all up on this map right here.
Yeah, if you're playing well, I think you're fine playing with just 3 players. It gets into the the gray area when you get into the 2 players. Even as a solo, you don't want that to be a thing. So I'm really liking Jaguar's idea of just, let's just play slow. Let's just relax, take a deep breath, and let's just work into the zone slowly. But look at this. Loops, I think, hunting for him on the south side of the zone with YKG just being a fight. So this might just be a YKG baits Jaguars, and Loops comes in from the back, but they are just absolutely full sending. It looks like on the map. Oh my goodness, Jaguar might just get wiped here.
Loops is knocked.
Mythic getting 2, I think, with the UMP. That was both players. Joe is the only one alive on an off angle, but YKG coming in. They're just going to focus a solo player, and Loops might be able to run away with this game if they get the reset.
It's interesting, man. Ayala went in, got knocked, and the interesting part is they left Chief behind. You can see him on the minimap starting to join the crew right now, but he was way, way away from the squad when that thing started. You wonder if they knew they were rolling up on Jaguar, if they were just kind of still scouting and trying to figure out where they were, and before they knew it, hey, we're in a fight with 2 squads here. So just like that, Jaguar out of here, 2 points, and that sets the mark to beat at 90 overall points. So again, Loops with 6 elims now. 6. And that is, chipping away at the point total that they need.
And they've got the magic number, 3 players up. They're looking for YKG too. Fears is knocked. They might actually just find another free kill point just crawling in the open on these smokes and Loops. I think they got wind of it. They know that these players are here. Now, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of this bike play from 24K. I prefer a motorcycle over just a regular bike, but he might be able to make it work. This bridge camp coming in, though. AGG trying to cross in front of INF, but it just seems to not be going that well.
Influence Chemin, I thought they were going to be the ones to get bridge camped, and they have hung out on the northern side of the bridge for a long time now. They do the camping, and they catch somebody trying to cross late here, and it's unfortunate for them. But now Execute heading south as well, somehow able to get by the guns of Dope Slayers. Dope Slayers preoccupied here with Overnight, and Execute will make it across with most of their squad, but we got part 2 coming right now. Rise is keen to just ignore them. Interesting. He's definitely desperate at this point to just stay alive.
Yeah, I'd want to say Execute was just waiting for some sort of fight to happen and just sneak in behind him, but literally they know Dope Slayers actually has a player on the bridge as well, so it's... But
Loops just cleared YKG.
With the run over kill. That's not always a good feeling at all, getting run over. Same thing with getting panned. Definitely not the best feeling, but Dope Slayers gonna be able to pick out this last kill, I'd assume, on Rise. Don't think he's gonna be able to get away with this. Oh!
Definitely not.
Yeah, he's dead.
The story, though, has to be Loops. They're down to 2. They picked up the squad wipe on YKG, and now it's going to be up to the 2 remaining players to make it to the top. I believe they're looking for 91 total points right now. So essentially, that's the mark to beat. They came in with 75, so they're looking for 16, and they have 9 right now. So they're looking for 7 more points.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like the zone is favoring them for a lot of these spots. They've cleared out most of the south side for them to be able to possibly even just get those points off placement alone, because everyone's fighting around this north side of the water and bridges.
Man, this is a really interesting thing, because right now, Loops is getting at least 1 more point for placement, so they need 6 more elims, and the longer these teams hang around, or the more they get knocked off, the less aggressive they actually have to be, so I'm curious to see how they play this. They've got a legit shot, though, at taking the lead back here in this final game where Jaguar came in with a 13-point margin. So yeah. I'd be impressed if they actually make that ground up here.
Well, there is, we talked about it at the start of the day. There's that planned progression and that mindless aggression. And Loops is definitely the team that does not have that mindless aggression. They're going to be, I think, just playing this for the late game. They're like, okay, we have our points. All we need to do is just finish the game strong.
Absolutely. So we got a big old mess happening here. Influence Chemin versus INCO. Cars are zooming. Got Becker down. Got Lil Boy down. It's just, it's chaos right now. And just like that, INCO comes out on top. Influence Chemin goes back to the lobby. And that was the number 3 team. So they will not go any further up the leaderboard, but they leave with 5 points here. And that will lock them in 3rd place for the moment. Only other team that can really catch him, I believe, is FLAMENGO.
I'm not sure how they got into that position with Kowski, I believe it was, driving around. I would assume it was just they crossed the bridge, they came in late, maybe half HP from eating zone. And unfortunately, it's just a team holding him. That's really the only spot you can pull into play from that east side with such a late zone as we're in stage 4. So really like the play by INCO, holding the edge, making sure that they're clearing that bridge, because that is a favorited play from people. Is if you're playing the bridge, that west bridge, you usually play for a team to fight at that glass house is what it's called, and rotate behind them like what Execute did. And if you're holding that east bridge, you hold that northern river side for people that like to swim or come behind you in zone and be, tagged up a bit in HP.
So we've got Execute fighting 2 teams right now. We got Dope Slayers up the hill. And then on the other side, they've got the Panthers and Zuko gunning them down. So Execute in a real tough position. They've got to try to get their way to the circle. They do just that. and just barely avoiding the sight lines of the Panthers right now.
Yeah, Execute somehow getting away with these plays where it's just, one of them always being knocked. They're at the base of a hill, and they're still just, making it worth sixless. I think still has a good enough buggy. Yeah, I think Execute might be able to just get out of this fully. Oh, never mind. Zuko, the Panthers making the play onto this underbridge team. Sixless, I think, is just going to have to go play solo, unfortunately, with only the 5 KP they have.
Nice plays. Sixless is like,
oh, man.
I'm out of here.
He got one of them with it. I think he's going for the finish on the run over.
He was. He didn't see him right away. So nice try from Sixless here. He's going back for more. He's going to try to get his teammates up. What a team player this guy is.
Yeah, last match, go for it. If you win the fight, then you get the reset off. Casper going to die, unfortunately. I think Trick's been his 2nd or 3rd knock in the game, so he is going to bleed out a little bit faster, but Dope Slayer is coming behind him. He recognizes that they're not actually going to try to fight him. Might just come up to be a straight 2v2 fight on this coastline.
Loops has almost no one nearby them. Let's see where the zone goes. If they're going to have to move into it, or if it's coming to them, it's coming to them. So they don't have to move. This is interesting. Obviously, to Panthers and Execute duking it out on that northwest side. Dope Slayer's trying to gatekeep them, and then everything else is kind of undetermined how it's going to go. Got FLAMENGO holding strong on the top of the hill, trying to survive here against INCO.
Yeah, I mean, GC's got at least one to his name right now, but gets it over the top of the buggy. I didn't think he was going to hit that just for a Mythic to put one bullet.
Loops finished it off and took him down. So look at this, adding another point. So clutch. They're into the top 5 now, and that means they're picking up 3 points from rank as well. So Loops is on the doorstep, knocking, and they get further up with the elimination of Execute. Are they going to do it, Enigma? This is awful close.
I mean, it's looking like it. We're looking at the Panthers. Actually, the Panthers getting revenge on Sixless, running him over when he was trying to snake up onto him, I believe, with a buggy or some sort. But really just unfortunate for Flamengos with Loops being able to just barely render them on the edge of the zone and just putting only 1 bullet into him. So Loops, 10 points in kills. We've got Dope with 5. The Panthers, unfortunately, with only 2 players, but we're looking at 7 total players. We had a lot of fighting this map.
Absolutely. So Loops right now, their scenarios are as follows. They can get 2 elims and be in. They can also survive until 2nd place and be in. Or they could finish 3rd and get 1 elim and be in. So really, I like their chances here, but they have to play it safe and stay alive. So Loops in a strong position. And the fact that no one else is rocking a full squad here, it's a 2v2v2v1. Man, I did not expect it to go this way with them falling to 2 members several squads ago, but they are in a position right now where they could come back and win this.
Yeah, and the 2 top fraggers on Loops for this match are both alive. Mythic with 5 and Ayala having 2. It's really just a matter of, does Loops make a mistake of slamming, let's say, Dope Slayers at this compound? Or they try to take a fight and just Dope Slayers makes a rotate around the backside of them and just makes a good play. So really interesting to see if Loops can be able to pull through. I think they are, just from the amount of experience and time played. They have
got good position here too.
The zone is going to take a little bit to shift, but I think everyone's just going to take a little snack break or something. Look at their little cat playing
Get some
around.
energy drinks.
Yeah, take a little bathroom break. Nothing going on with 7 alive.
Set the phone down, come back in a few. But yeah, I like the sandbags in front of both Loops players here. So even if they get outshot, right, and they take a knock, they're going to be safe, and they're going to be able to get that revive off without much danger of somebody crashing them. All of the teams alive are max 2 members. So again, to crash, you got to feel really confident in your position because it's not an insurmountable push for one person to hold off, 2 people coming in and trying to crash.
Yeah, the only way is if you somehow get someone sneaked up and gets the opening knock while your teammate's pulling up, but the chance of that happening is slim to none. People are able to render you out from 100, 200 meters. So sneaking up in the grass while the Panthers are on that north side looking at Loops and the Loops are looking at the Panthers, it's really unrealistic to see anyone try to make a sneak play. But Loops getting the zone shift, essentially, I don't think there's anywhere a team can play other than southeast of Loops, just north of the road. I think there's a lip that teams are able to play, but I doubt anyone's going to play it. Most people, I think, are going to try to just work in a zone and snake it out, but Loops looking strong to make this game theirs.
I am really beside myself that they are even in this position right now with what they had to go through on the bottom of the zone against Jaguar, against YKG, getting some of the third-party elims. Like, they're in a strong position right now. Again, they have cover. There's not a lot of it to be had at this point, but there's a lot of terrain here for teams to hide behind. I'm really curious to see if Robert and the Dope Slayers can get out of that compound, because Loops is gunning for them. You can see both of them really trying to catch them on rotation. They're going to have to move out and head up the hill. They do have a lot of cover, but there is a shot to, like, catch them in between buildings here.
Yeah, Zico, thankfully, recognizing that that's a horrible spot if Loops decides to peek over. But, going back to Loops, it separates the good from the great. If you're looking at their playbook, we compare it to Jaguar for this match. Loops, even though, they're behind and stuff, they're playing aggressive. They're playing for that win, not just in this match, but overall for the leaderboard. For these scrims, they're wanting to make, recognize that their name should be first. And, it's really unfortunate to see for Jaguars, but it just shows, the mental difference between some of these players.
Absolutely. A snack break that you talked about should be over in about a minute and a half. So you guys better have your butts in the seats, getting ready to watch the action here shortly, where things are about to get a little crazy, because that circle's going to be coming in. And all of a sudden, these players are going to have to try to make their way to that next safe zone. And can Zuko see him? It looked like he might have been able to, but he didn't.
I want to say they see the car, but he's proning on the buggy, so it pretty much protects you. But they're going for the shots. No connects, but they know essentially, I think, where all the teams are in this zone. Really interested to see how the solo plays it. He looks like he's actually going to just sneak right under Loops, kind of towards the position I was talking about earlier. And Loops playing a little bit aggro towards Dope Slayers. Not sure if this is really the play or not. The Panthers might be able to just go for him. And Strap just... you really hate to see that blown up by the buggy.
Now all Loops needs is one elim.
And Chronix, I don't know what is going on with his buggy, but thankfully it didn't crash, or that could have just been the kill point right there for Loops to secure it. But Zico's trying to creep forward. He proned away from his buggy, which I like. He has the ghillie on, I believe, trying to get some sort of play onto Loops or whoever team. I don't know if they know it's Loops up on the top side, but whoever team is on top of the hill, they know that's the most powerful position. Why not try to get that opening kill?
It's a good question. One that I don't have the answer to, my friend. They might have some super uber elite strats that I can't comprehend, but we'll have to keep an eye on this circle. Where's it going to go all the way to the east? I want this hard shift way over where everybody just came from.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes east, I'd like to see Zuko go to that other crate, but Loops might actually opt to do that sort of position. They could actually rotate around the backside of the Panthers north of Chronix if they choose to do so. But, I mean, it's up to the eyes of the beholder. I'm not sure what Loops is thinking of doing. They might try to gatekeep, but it looks like they're getting in their cars, looking to maybe rotate. Dope Slayers is going to be the team that I think falls through with this. They're going to be the team that gets wiped out next. It's just a matter of if I think the Panthers or if Loops are going to win this game out.
It's tough, man. It's tough to say. And I also wonder if Loops is fully aware of their situation, right? Because they know it's close. They know they've done a lot. Ooh, get the finish. If he gets it, he got it. Loops in position. Now they're in the driver's seat. I think they may have done enough. But I was just going to say, I don't know if they fully know what they need. They're obviously just trying to play for the win here. And in a situation like that where they catch somebody out, my thoughts are they going to go for the flush, or are they going to try to take down the teammate as well? And we have our answer. They go for the flush, pick up an 11th elim right now, and they're already guaranteed 5 points as well for at least a third place finish, but they are not done yet. Robert trying to survive, and I don't like his odds.
Yeah, I mean, it's not looking good. He even got hit with the headshot with the little smoke spray, getting tagged up a bit more, and I think this nade from Ayala is just going to be good enough. It's going to be good enough. Yep, there it is.
Got him.
Now the Panthers, Zuko trying to get an aggressive play, but he's standing up. I'm not liking that at all. Instantly sees him. Only player that I think had the
surprise,
the one-up position, the surprise on him, just shundering it, in my opinion, but... His teammate getting the off-angle Chronix. I think they would have thought he was on that east side, but no. Zuko getting caught out the nade. Chronix versus Mythic, but he's got the best gun in the game for
you know you want the point. I was going to say, he doesn't know the score, I don't think.
Chronix got the best gun in the game for this, I think. He's got, I think it's 75 or 100 mag in that gun. shoots like an absolute laser, and he's just forcing the 1v1. Pre-Night tags him up, and the hip fire. Oh my goodness. Loops just
it's
world-class
convincing.
performance.
Right? It's convincing. They needed to have a big performance here to catch Jaguar, and I said it coming in. Is Loops or FLAMENGO gonna get this stupid chicken dinner? And they did. Loops finally comes up with a win after dominating all the past couple of days, and they finally get that chicken dinner, and they do it shorthanded, guys. 2 players left throughout the second half of that game. They got into it early on, and they lost a player super early at military base against Jaguar. They were able to overcome all of that adversity and get that dub, so you love to see it.
Yeah. All I can think about is what's new. I mean, every single game, they have to lose somebody to play well, it seems. You know, crazy performance from Loops. They rose up to the occasion. We questioned, would they be able to get a chicken dinner? Would they be able to win this entire thing? 2 days of intense scrims, 5 maps per day. And, I don't have the official standings, but I'm pretty comfortable to say I'm pretty sure they're in first. Jaguar, though, disappointing, right? They finished as low as they did in 11th place, map 5, when they were in first place. PB, you said it best. If they just held on, if they just played decently well, made a good run here in this map 5, they were almost guaranteed to hold on to first place over that of Loops and the countless other contenders, but I don't think they were able to get the job done.
It was really impressive. Honestly, Loops forced their hand. They chased them down. They hunted them, and that was exactly what needed to happen. Loops wanted it more. They went out and took it, and that's ultimately what separates the good from the great here. And I mean, Jaguar, we've kind of been talking about them as kind of an underdog or a dark horse a bit. I mean, this is the #1 team from LATAM, guys. They came in after winning PNPL LATAM, and this is no joke of a team. So Jaguar, again, showing why they're the #1 team in their region, and Loops, 5th place in Brazil, really showing that, hey, we think we underperform. We think we have what it takes. And if you judge them over the past couple of days, Loops is looking like a serious contender here for PNPL Americas.
Enigma, there was a moment, it was a tense moment, it really was. Flamingos versus InHyper. InHyper nearly winning the fight, but a miracle nade is thrown. And I say miracle, but much respect to the skill that was put into the timing and the throw of that grenade, because it was perfect. Flamingos, they beat out InHyper, and they have a decent run. I think overall today, Enigma, to me, Flamingos, they really stood out. They're a resilient team. They're not #1, but they're definitely a team that could be a true dark horse team heading into the event coming, I believe, next weekend.
Yeah, I mean, you're wanting to have, some sort of good performances, and with them, I think it just proves, like, they're understanding the mindset, they're getting that sort of gameplay down, going against these other teams that are from different regions, someone that they haven't really faced before if they're a newer team. So it's really nice seeing them actually be able to start shining through in some of these plays. Now, with that fight against InHyper, and when it comes to gun skill and mechanics, they know how to peek and stuff like that. So winning that is a win of its own for them. And, it's nice seeing them be able to perform in a lot of these situations, even though they aren't first.
Panthers doing a really good job, though. Impressive to see them up as high as they were. They won Sanhok. They were nearly victorious in Erangel, and we look at 9th through 15th. Alpha 7, another big surprise, finishing off that last. However, with this being Scrims, PB, I kind of focus now our conversation, because the whole point of this, aside from having, Storm Gaming or Execute to come into the mix, right, this was to prepare and see where the teams lie for PNPL America's Championship for Spring 2023. These are the official results. Loops in first, Jaguar in second, and then INF there sitting pretty in third. But overall, what can we take away from these results as we head into that championship next weekend?
What I take away is honestly a bit more parity than I was expecting. I expected the Brazilians to come in here and dominate, and while they did take 3 of the top 4 spots on the leaderboard, they certainly performed well, but it wasn't quite the distance of talent that I expected, quite frankly. We see the likes of Execute and the Panthers in 5 and 6 there. I expected them to be a bit further away. So, honestly, a bit more parity than I was expecting, albeit the Brazilians still looking super strong, and obviously Jaguar out of LATAM crushing it as well with that 2nd place finish.
Yeah, Jaguar, really impressive. Enigma, for you, what do you take away from these rankings?
Well, the main thing is obviously I'm looking at the NA teams. YKG actually having the most elims from the NA teams, having 39, but only finishing 9th. Execute, who is actually the substitute team for these scrims, performing the best out of all the NA teams. So I'm really wondering you know, what kind of mental preparation is going through for these NA teams to possibly perform better and possibly even outplace these Brazilian superstars.
Map results right before you. It was a good spread. We didn't have a team dominate like Execute did yesterday, winning map 1 and map 2. This time we had a different winner in each and every map, but we still had the consistent top 5 teams, I would say, throughout all 5 maps, PB. But it was an exciting day, it really was. What was the most impactful win, at least in your opinion? For me, I'm looking at Sanhok with Panthers, because that one play, right, hiding with Zuko, that was incredible. Might even be the play of the day.
Easy choice for me. It was the Panthers on Sanhok, man. That 1v2, v3, or whatever went down at the end of that game. Zuko hiding in the closet there, waiting to pop out at just the right time. He did just that, got the clutch win. But I got to tip my cap to the Panthers as well. They didn't have crazy elims today, but as you saw, another second place finish in that last game on Erangel. They did pretty good today. Placement-wise, they just got to pick up that aggression and start getting those kills flowing a little bit earlier in the games. And I think they belong right up there with the Loops and the Influence Chemins and the Jaguars of the lobby. The Panthers, really nice performance overall these past couple of days.
And for you, Enigma, you know, obviously some teams not having the standout performances, but, you know, to put a taper on things, this was Scrims, right? So maybe some teams holding back a little bit, trying some new things out. Who do you expect next weekend to really perform exceedingly well that might have not shown up this weekend?
Well, I'd personally like to see Hyper perform just better overall. The Vikendi match, you know, showed that they had the knowledge, they have the game sense. It's not questioning their ability, like Powerbank said. It's getting that synergy, getting them all in the same wavelength for them to be able to perform against these Brazilians.
Fair enough. Brazilians, I've heard a lot about them, and I've seen a lot from them over the past 2 days. NA's represented well. Our fill-in teams were phenomenal, and Latin America has really shown up and gone out and gone big. So, and both days were exciting. You know, both days had tremendous victories, and, you know, also some teams falling off a bit, but some teams also rising up. It was a great time. It really was, and I was happy to be here for my first PUBG mobile broadcast, and I hope to be on many more. Powerbank, before we get out of here, what are your final words?
Final words. Big thanks to the fans, guys, for showing up. Really appreciate the support from the LATAM regions. Muchas gracias for showing up and showing out for your teams. We love that. And big shouts to Brazil as well for showing up for your teams. Again, thanks to everybody for playing. And big shout out to the production crew, everybody behind the scenes, and you guys on the desk for killing it today. Enigma, love casting with you, man. It was a pleasure. Those are my final thoughts. Until next time, though, you know, I will be back here, and this has been super fun with the Titan series.
And I love being with you, PB, and like I said, I hope to be with you much more. Enigma, you're wonderful. From pro player now to, you know, pro caster, you're getting up there, all right? This is kind of the start of your journey, baby. Hey, I know, look, you're a perfectionist, and you're going to continue to get better, but I think you slayed it out today. You really did. You did a wonderful job, and we appreciate you being here. What do you have to say before we get out of here?
Well, appreciate all of you, of course. You know, it's always a learning experience doing something new. Thankfully, you know, I did have knowledge on the game and stuff like that to help me through it. But being with 2 individuals such as, you know, Powerbang and Reflections doing this sort of stuff definitely makes it a dream come true.
Appreciate you, Enigma. You're a wonderful person, and can't wait to see where you go in your casting journey. But for all of the fans out there, thank you for being here. This Titan series, Scrims Americas, has been absolutely wonderful over the past 2 days. 10 great games with 16 wonderful teams, and we owe it all to you. Make sure you hit that follow button or the subscribe button if you haven't already. You're all lovely. For myself, Taylor Reflections Noble, Powerbang, Enigma, our production crew, and you in chat, thank you so much for being here, and make sure to be back once again for a new Titan series broadcast. We would love to have you.